ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
For the red and blue true believers, they've climbed out of purgatory. For Melbourne tonight, there is a brand new flag.
After 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
The Demons are premiers.
Let's go. You don't want to miss this.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Check this out. Now we're in business. Won't believe what you're about to witness.
Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Bailey Smith, be the hero.
So much to see, so much to love.
40 out. What a superstar.
That is a moment of inspiration.
He loves this day. He loves this day.
You better know it's the greatest show.
AFL.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it.
Superb finish.
The impossible angle. Sensational goal.
And that's what brings fans through the gate.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Pulls the trigger on goal and goes bang.
To the right forward pocket.
Pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't seen nothing like
Here we go. We've got a game now.
We are on.
You want your very best players having the ball in the moments that matter.
With the talk from 55. That is the cream on the cake.
That is brilliant.
You ain't seen nothing like this.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
Straight in front, 50 out, whacks it straight through.
That was brilliant.
The captain delivers in a big moment. You are kidding me. Oh, he's a superstar. Sets his sights on goal. Jay Hamilton leaps into the night sky and drags in the mark.
Do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kids.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Turns and snaps. What a way to finish.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
So much of the AFL is the story of the coaches, and we're 2 games into the new season, and already that's the case. A Luke Beveridge tirade on opening night, followed by a staged managed apology. And then there's Michael Voss, who wins first up as new Carlton coach on Thursday. Tonight, all eyes again on the coaches with very different backstories. Brett Ratton, off contract at season's end, starting his 3rd full season in charge of the Saints, with high expectations internally, and Craig McRae with a deep coaching resume to earn his first senior job as the coach of the biggest team in the land. Welcome to Friday Night Footy on Grandstand AFL. It is St Kilda and Collingwood under the roof at Docklands as round 1 continues. Corbin Middlemass, Kelly Underwood, Mick Moldhouse, Cameron Ling and Tim Hodges, your Friday night team on Grandstand AFL for games in Victoria every Friday night throughout 2022. There is no late change. The subs for both teams. Nasiah Wanganeen Millera is going to be the starting sub on debut, the teenager for St Kilda. And the former basketballer Tom Wilson will start as the sub for the Pies. Kelly Underwood's here. Hello, Kel.
Hello, Corbin, and a very big welcome to you joining us every Friday night this season. So we're very much looking forward to that, joining our little team, our little cosy team here up on level 3 under the closed roof at Docklands. And I've seen a lot that I liked so far. Mostly I've seen it in the last hour or so, heading in. Bad traffic, people, the sound of chatter, beers in the bar over the road, the colours, the kids playing kick to kick, rushing through the gates, the full stands at the MCG. We saw grown men dancing on chairs and carrying on like clowns. So the crowds are back, Corby. The crowds are back, and it's very, very exciting. I think we've all in the last 2 years craved purpose and we've craved connection, and Aussie Rules gives us that. So the energy is back in Melbourne, which is exciting. There's energy in this stadium tonight, and footy, as we know, is the heartbeat of this town, and it's back, baby. We're very, very excited.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful opening. Great to be here on Friday nights with big shoes to fill, and obviously working alongside 2 of the best judges of footy in the country, and we have them here on ABC Radio throughout the year. You've heard from them already. First of all, the man who's coached more games than anyone else, 3-time premiership coach, premiership player, Michael Malthouse. G'day, Mick.
Push that. See, when you said the
First lesson, Corbin. First lesson. He doesn't know how to turn on his microphone.
Well, don't say it, because then it'll have a go at me. But when you said the two best, I looked over my shoulder and was just thinking, where are these blokes? Or women, or what? Sorry, Kel. You know, who are they?
Don't look over your shoulder. Just look over this way.
That comes from a Geelong person, you can tell. Fantastic to be here, and walking, walk down through town, it is just chock full of people, and a lot of people with the scarves, the Saints scarves and the Collingwood scarves. So we're back in business, I reckon, after the first two games. Really good games, tough games, opening rounds, extraordinary level of fitness and toughness, and I don't expect any different tonight, because I hate the thing of the coach under pressure, because I don't think that's relevant really in round one. I think it's more about how his team's going to work out, how McRae's team's going to work out, and how they come together, and Dacos as a first rounder, and then you're looking at, both sides have got, I guess, aspirations of making the 8. How do they make the 8 is going to be a 4-pointer today. One will come in, it's a bit like Carlton and Richmond last night. One woke up this morning with 4 points, and the other one has to make it back. And we spoke to Lingy about this on Wednesday night. Yeah. It's a game that you've got already. It's something in the back pocket. So it's great to be with Kel, great to be with yourself, and great to be with Lingy.
It was a great line the other night, Mick, that it's not so much a big deal to win round one, but it's a big deal to lose. As you said, you give away those 4 points, and you're trying to make them up the whole way through. Cameron Ling's here, premiership captain, 3-time premiership winner. Fascinating game tonight, Lingy. I know it's round one, and we don't want to sort of overhype round one too much, but it feels like a bit of pressure on the Saints.
I know you don't want to overhype round one, but have you run into a few Carlton supporters today, Corbs?
Yes.
There's overhyping galore, and it's fantastic to see. I went to my old school, had their golf day today, one of their major fundraisers. I went along and helped out a little bit. The number of Carlton caps that people were wearing, they are out there just pumping up the fact their team is going along beautifully.
I walked down the main street in my suburb walking my little one to school, and the mayor went past in the Lycra on the bike, and he saw me and he said, "Go Blues." They're back already.
So it does feel like sometimes the round one games are worth a little bit more than 4 points, and tonight's big. First-time coach, Craig McRae, he just wants to feel good and think that the work that's been done over pre-season is right. And St Kilda, who knows? High expectations last year, really ordinary. I don't have great expectations for them this year. Yep. I'm pretty down on the Saints. We might disagree on that one, Mick, but I don't feel great about them. But if they get off to a win, and then they can just build, if they can hit, say, let's call it round 5 at 3-2, and they've got a base to launch from, then it's big for them. Yep. But if Collingwood can sow the doubts of last year to the Saints early on in the year, well, then they just have the same thought pattern. Just quickly, Mick, these were the comments from Andrew Bassett last year. So remember when the criticism came to St Kilda, and he said, we knew that our genuine window would more likely start at 2022 than 2021. They feel like they've got a list. They went out last year, they made all those changes and brought in 5 guys and tried to sort of Frankenstein a team together. It didn't pay off in year one. They're leaving Brett Ratton off contract going into his 3rd full year in charge, so he's off contract at season's end. It feels like it's sort of sharp already for St Kilda.
I don't think it matters one iota about a coach being on or off contract the way he is.
Yep.
It's more to do with media supporters, because you either back yourself and you understand the ramifications. You have a bad year, well, you know what, you may not have a job. And I've got to say, I probably looked over my shoulder every year regardless, because you just knew at some stage that silver bullet was going to get you. It was just a matter of you getting through. But I'm with Lingy in this. I made a comment, I think when I was doing my picking for the 8, Saints and Richmond can't make the 8 together. It'll be one or the other, because I just don't think either they've just got holes. And this side of the Saints, if you took the top 5 players, you've got a really good 5. Then you've got 5 that aren't too bad. Then you've got 10 that the question marks on all the time, because when the chips are down, they'll walk through their tackle, they'll be sitting in the grandstand with you. The 50-50 ball becomes 60-40. And they let the Saints, and they let their supporters down. I've got a real passion for the Saints, because I started my career there, and I've seen the pain year in, year out of them not performing. When the Rewalt captaincy was there, and the way they played in that 2009, 10 and 11, you think they've been mighty unlucky. mighty unlucky. But from there, you know, I think they've only been in the finals once. They've got to start to stand up. I'm with Lingy.
Big news day. Michael Voss won't coach Carlton in round 2 against the Western Bulldogs after entering health and safety protocols. So Voss, as well as 2 members of their football department and senior player Jack Martin, have been placed on the AFL's health and safety protocols from Friday. They enter a 7-day isolation. It means that Voss won't be available to coach Carlton on Thursday night. So Ash Hansen is going to coach the Blues against the Bulldogs. We're all doing that game next Thursday. And on the injury front, Christian Salem's avoided major damage to his ligament in his left knee. He is going to have surgery. There is no time frame set for his return. Alan Richardson saying today that he has chipped cartilage in his knee, so a bit of a setback for Christian Salem. And Marcus Bontempelli has sprained his ankle again. No update in terms of how the swelling's going there as to whether he'll be right for Thursday.
Just on these COVID health and safety protocols, I think, Lingy, will see this. There's a general feeling that the crowds are back and we're almost at the end of the pandemic and life will go back to normal. I think this will be season 3 of a new challenge. Yep. Each year's been a different challenge with the pandemic. We've seen it in the AFLW where because a lot of these players live together, they're in their 20s, and so therefore if one goes down, the other 3 have to isolate. And it's just caused carnage in the women's competition this year to the point where now Collingwood are out and are meant to play in a final on Sunday. That's going to push the prelims back, which pushes the grand final back. So there's a mess for the AFL to sort out there. Michael Voss is just the first big name, and I think we're going to see it a lot this season.
And I think it'll decide the 8 still.
Yeah.
So we're not out of it. Yep. I think you play, we were talking about the other night, Mick, you play the right team, a team that you're on sort of level with, maybe slightly above you, and they've got 6 players missing and you knock them off easy, and that gets you the extra win versus copying a team. You're missing a couple, a team that you would normally beat, and they beat you. And it comes down to a game either way for 8th spot.
Well, take that example like North Melbourne and Hawthorn. We don't expect them to make the 8, but you'd almost say that the West Coast, I think, are under massive pressure to make it. But the Gold Coast, if things run for them, they've got such a good young side. All they need is a little bit of luck. So what happens if they do a real good job on West Coast? Because Kelly's not playing because of that. These are the circumstances you're talking about. You grab that opportunity, you pinch a win, all of a sudden 12 win gets you in, and 2 or 3 of them might have been against sides that are really, really struggling. Who knows?
I did hear that Adam Simpson hadn't met 2 of the players that are playing on Sunday a week ago.
Wow.
That's amazing.
He met them for the first time a week ago, and they're going to play for him on Sunday.
They had 24 players available.
Correct.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
Well, you only need 22, so there's two Sundays there. They've got too many to pick from.
Just on the other news of today, Kelly, it's obviously a follow-up to the Luke Beveridge tirade on Wednesday night, as it was to start the round. So following that, Tom Morris, the journalist at the centre of it all, had been stood down by Fox Sports over a separate incident, and some recordings of him making misogynistic comments about a female colleague were leaked online. Now Fox Sports have moved today to sack Morris. Steve Crawley, the Fox Sports Executive Director, said in a statement today, our culture at Fox Sports is based on respectful, inclusive environment and a fair go for all. While Tom's journalism has made a valuable contribution to Fox Sports over the past 7 years, the message we became aware of yesterday crossed the line. It was unacceptable.
Well, look, I guess from my perspective, I'm in a bit of a tricky position here because it involves my employer, Fox Sports, and 2 of my colleagues, one of which is a close friend. So I've been on the phone a couple of times to Megan Barnard this afternoon. She's in New Zealand covering the World Cup for Fox Sports at the moment, the Women's World Cup, and she is surrounded by some strong female colleagues, which is good because she needs it at the moment. I don't want to speak for her. That's not fair. My phone's been running hot a lot over the last 24 hours. I guess a lot of Fox female colleagues all checking in on each other and checking in on each other's welfare, which has been a great thing. I don't think any of us ever want to be the only woman in the room. That's certainly not how we want it to be. So there's a real spirit among the sisters. It is, look, it's emotional for me to talk about because it really hits home. I felt sick in my stomach when I heard it. It is so disappointing. But we've got to talk about it because we've got to educate. We did it a few years ago with Caroline Wilson and that drowning comment. We did it again when Mel McLaughlin was the "Don't Blush Baby" comment. These women are dragged into an issue that is really nothing to do with them at the time. So I had two great moments Friday morning, if I can share a little bit. I had an email from Lauren Borden, who sent me this email so excited, saying that I've just won a full-time job in Grandstand AFL Sports Department in Melbourne, so I'm going to start on the boundary this weekend. So for listeners, keep an ear out for Lauren Borden, because she has aims to be a caller. And then Julia Montansaro, who they've both done the ABC women's commentary course, won a worldwide competition to call during the Women's Basketball World Cup in September here in Australia. So the next voice of international basketball. And so you're so proud, Lingy, when you hear this, because you know it's a really hard to get a foot in the door and get that start. So when you hear comments like that, you are sick to your stomach. Everyone talks the talk publicly, don't they? We're talking about diversity. We're talking about how important women are. And then to know that when you leave the room, some still live in the dark ages, that hurts. And we can, as women and as leaders in this industry, we can scream from the rooftops, and you get accused for, sticking up for your mates or whinging. Where are the men? That's what's going to change the culture here. The male leaders in this community that are saying, hey, good move, Fox. I've got to say, I'm proud of my employer tonight. I'm really proud of what they've done. It makes me proud to work for them. But where are the male voices here? And I'm not talking about, obviously, Mick and you, Cameron, because, you've both left the industry, even though you're involved with commentary here.
But also, Kel, see, I do understand, because Christy, my daughter, was really a pioneer in many respects, and she was forced out, and she lost bits and pieces of her work through there. So I totally, and I know how she felt, and she felt deserted at times, and certainly didn't have support on a lot of times. And there wasn't a lot of sisters in the organisation.
Correct.
She was out there and stuck out there. And I remember she said to me, there's a young girl coming through, and I think she was certainly referring to you as trying to help you through. So I totally understand, and I want to give you a big hug. But I'm going to use an instinct here, because she said, we have respect for women, respect for this. Why don't we just respect one another, regardless? Just have that bit of respect. And I think you were talking about it too, Lingy. Why can't we just get on with life and just treat everyone as an equal? And we're never going to be equal in terms of, someone can kick the ball 50 metres further, someone can yell a bit louder, someone is a bit taller, a better basketball, someone's a better cricketer, blah, blah, blah. Got all their strengths, but still got to have respect for people. And that's where it gets down to.
And can I ask, Cal, just as part of my learning, so when I was a leader within a football club, as a captain or a vice-captain of the Cats, my focus in regards to what we're talking about right now was try and be the best possible person I could be. The values that I was lucky enough to have instilled in me by my mum and dad, and the people that I met along my journey and had influence on me, was be a good person, treat each other with the respect that you're talking about, and work together and have a common goal and all of that. And those around me, I encourage them. I try and brought them along. What you're, though, asking is, it's got to be more than that. It's got to actually... You need those leaders in the positions of captains of clubs and coaches of clubs to speak out more publicly. I suppose from my perspective, I never felt, well, do I say anything, or should I say anything, or is it none of my business? I'll just try and make sure my little world is the best possible version I can make it by being a really good person.
Yeah, it's a great point, Lingy. And I mean, you're a wonderful leader, and still are a wonderful leader in the AFL. But community and society has changed so much. So I see Josh Cavallo, the Adelaide Reds player, publicly painfully come out. But, by doing so, Corbin becomes a wonderful role model. And there's just silence from the AFL community. So I would love to see a long-term captain at a well-known club with a simple tweet of congratulations, or well done, that must have been hard, or just an acknowledgement. Because what it's doing is it's sending a message to the rest of his teammates that no matter who you are, you can be comfortable within your own skin. Darcy Vesio publicly sheds tears talking about her battle to realise she's non-binary. And as far as I'm aware, and I'm not trolling social media, I've got better things to do with my time, there's no comment, or that's all it takes. It's just a comment here or there for a few male leaders which just says to those that would be struggling with their sexuality, male players in this industry, we know that they're there, that it's okay. You can be yourself. And if you are struggling, I'm the captain and I'm cool with it, or I'm the CEO, come and talk to me.
Guys, do you think the AFL CEO should come out?
I do.
Yes. And do you also think
and
the
speak
players...
publicly when you refer to come out, yes.
Yeah. and also the AFL Players Association?
Well,
because that represents...
Yeah, I had people texting me saying, should his accreditation be suspended? Can I just say, I hope that Tom Morris is is okay and that has got good people around him, because I feel for him in this situation as well, and he is obviously a colleague and I have worked with him. But, yeah, where is the leadership from the AFL on this situation?
And the Players Association?
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, they cater for... The girls, and it is the girls and the boys. They cater for both.
They do. They do. In fact, I heard that they're going to change that Players Association board split to be 50-50, because at the moment, as it stands, I think there's just two women on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
On that board.
How many members there are?
I think there'd be people out there that would be surprised, sort of just putting your finger in the wind and seeing some of the reaction on social media, that an employer would go as far as to sack someone over this, particularly given the nature of how it came about. It was a private recording that eventually was made public. Do you think as a result of that this is a significant moment, Kelly, and something that shouldn't be overlooked? And I say the feeling from a lot of people that, that there would be a way back from that, because in the past there hasn't been consequences for this kind of action.
Yeah.
If you think about these conversations and when they go on, a lot of the time people feel free to make those comments because they don't feel like there's any sort of consequence that comes with them.
Well,
and now when something like that comes to light, it's no longer tolerated, and you've got one of the biggest sports media outlets in the country saying we're not rolling with that kind of presentation.
Well, there was no leadership and no comment and no penalty in regards to Adam Good's situation at all, was there? So that still makes my my stomach churn.
I think there's a lot of people are churning over that.
Yeah.
Because, that was had an opportunity. I look at our AFL and think they certainly respect and take a lot from the National Football League in America. And I asked the question, how far would that have gone had it happened in the States? Well, I think an owner lost his licence, didn't he?
Yeah, yep.
So that's how far they take it.
Yeah.
That's going pretty strong. So I don't know whether we really have still come to grips with it yet, because that was a great opportunity for things to take place.
Well, it's just a big question, isn't it, Lengy? Like, how do you enact change? We know for years... First, people, when I tell people what I do for a job, it's the boys' club. How do you deal with the blokiness? And sure, it's there. It's always there. And I think baby steps, we're getting better. And like I said, Friday morning, 2 young women coming through, fantastic. I get so excited for that, because the more, the better. But there's still not enough. And how do you try and change a culture when it's so entrenched?
A little bit at a time has surely got to be the end. And I don't mean that by saying it can only be a little bit at a time, but little battles have got to be won along the journey. And as you said, Corbs, this is the right move by Fox, and it's a really important move to stop some of those conversations going on that just shouldn't be taking place. I mean, that's just... I just look at it and I think... Part of me goes, well, the blokey culture or the footy culture... I enjoy some of the sitting around the change rooms talking with my mates. That's what I miss. I miss hanging with Joel Corey and James, these beautiful people that I got to meet. Brad Otten's beautiful people. But we didn't sit around saying that type of stuff. We sat around laughing and talking and teasing each other about our NFL fantasy teams that we had. Or just silly stuff. I love that and I miss that. But just don't do the other. And as soon as one like Tom did that, then straight away it's the blokey culture of football is this awful, negative, horrendous thing. Well, some of my most beautiful moments were sitting there with great mates and sharing those moments together.
Well, we thought it was an important conversation to have for those reasons. We're lucky to have Kelly Underwood with us in the box right throughout the season on Grandstand AFL every Friday night for our games in Victoria. We've got one of them ahead of us, Peking Darker Plain at the moment. A 25-minute set before the bounce of the ball. A new dawn coming at Collingwood. A new Prez is going to join us next.
Ready for some new adventures? Back Roads is back. From the macho mining town of Tom Price in WA, to outback Queensland and Tasmania's Cradle Mountain. Join me, Heather Hewitt, and some of my fellow guest explorers for a journey to some of this country's most remote towns, full of surprising and memorable characters.
All new Backroads. New adventures Monday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
ABC Sport. AFL.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Future is now. The impossible angle. Sensational goal.
And that's what brings fans through the gate.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Season 2022, the fans are back. The colour and soundtrack of our great game. Let's go.
You ain't seen nothing like this.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Surely it can't from here. Gives it everything. Yes, he can.
Turns, whacks it straight through the middle.
Jabs it on the right. Kicks another.
A burst of pace. And he finishes it.
How much do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kids.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
From 50. Good kick. The MCG are up.
AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Round one, where it all begins again for two bottom 10 teams last season. St Kilda finished 2 spots outside the 8, desperate to get back into September against Collingwood, who finished second last, but they have a new era starting with a new coach, a new president. It all begins again tonight for the Magpies and the Saints, the next chapter about to be written. This is Grandstand AFL. Great to have you with us on ABC Radio across the country. Corbin Middlemass and Kelly Underwood calling the footy. Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse sharing, 7 premierships between them. Part of our crew on Friday night throughout the season for games in Victoria, and Tim Hodges on the boundary. Straight off the top, for those joining us with the network for the first time, we've got Peking Duck playing in the background, the concert going on with the lights dimmed. But in the ABC box, we have the new president of the Collingwood Football Club, Jeff Brown, who's been good enough to join us. The 14th pres of the Magpies. Jeff, appreciate your time and congratulations on the role.
Thank you very much, and it's great to be here with you.
Can I just ask about Craig McRae off the top? Obviously, there's so much of the story tonight with him coaching for the first time. He takes on his first senior job in charge of the biggest team in the land. All the reports out of Collingwood over the off-season about sort of the breath of fresh air that he's brought Collingwood. What has he brought the club, in your opinion?
Well, he's brought enthusiasm. He's brought experience. He's coached under some great mentors and other senior coaches. The time was right for Craig. In the shortish time that I've been there has definitely been a cultural change. He set out to develop a winning culture, and I can sense that and feel that as I walk around, and I think the players will demonstrate that tonight.
Jeff, just on the coup, tell us about it. How did it start? Why did it start? Why are you in this position? Because as you've said to me before, why have I got this job? You know how tough it is. So tell us, why have you taken it on, and how did it come about?
Well, you know how tough it is, Mick, and
not as president, I don't.
It came about because I was worried about the club after Eddie left. I think that there was a leadership vacuum, and I didn't see that being picked up or planned.
Did you have ambitions of being club president at some stage?
No, never.
Up until
never. I've been a Collingwood supporter all my life. I played a little bit, and as the season went on and things didn't improve around the club, a number of people came to me closely associated with the club and encouraged me, and after resisting that for quite a while and trying to think of who else could step up, then I agreed to do it.
Okay, so the direction of the club now is in your hands. So what are you going to change? What's the most dramatic thing you can change between what was taking place and now where you are?
Well, there's no old saying in business, Mick, culture beats strategy. So we've got to get that right. We've got to get back to believing that we can win and beat everybody. And when I addressed the players on the first occasion, I pointed out that I didn't see a lot of football last year because of COVID, but I was in Sydney one day and I wandered down to the SCG and I saw them actually go out and beat a pretty good team that actually went on to win the premiership. So if we can get that self-belief back in the group of players, we can beat anybody. And I think with a lack of leadership, it spills into a lack of confidence. And you know as well as anybody, Mick, if you're a high-performance athlete, you need to believe and get your confidence up and go out there and think you can win.
Jeff, you alluded to that type of win last year from the group, and I suppose the aspirations are always very high at Collingwood. But in your eyes and the board's eyes, what sort of mandate does Craig McRae have? Does he have a slow build, develop, take the time to build that real, genuine premiership tilt, or do you demand success a bit quicker than that?
No, I think he Craig has presented to the board in relation to how he's measuring performance and how players are rating this pre-season against last pre-season. We've seen a significant improvement there. Boards don't tell coaches how to coach football teams, and Mick will attest to that. That's something that no board should ever get involved in. But we need to pick the best coach we can, and we need to back him. And Craig has been very impressive, along with Justin Lepwich and Brendan Bolton and the other coaches we have. We've got a great coaching panel. The players have really responded to it, and I think we have already built and developed into Collingwood, and you'll see it tonight, a winning culture.
Jeff Brown, the 14th president of the Collingwood Football Club. Peking Duck have just finished. Their last set was the St Kilda theme song as their last track, that is, as part of their set, was the St Kilda theme song. And the red, white and black lights flash around the stadium under the roof at Docklands as the Saints burst through the banner. Jeff, before you go, Jordan De Goey, obviously the big off-season story, and it was one of the first things obviously put before you as president of the Magpies. How close did you come to tearing up his contract?
I didn't come close to tearing up his contract at all. I came close to and actually sat down with Jordan, his manager. I spent a bit of time speaking to his lawyers in New York. I saw a vision of the incident. I understood the situation as well as anybody could, and it was a regrettable situation, but it was certainly not one that he deserved to be hung for. And he regrets it. He's given me some personal undertakings, and I've accepted them.
The AFL ordered a $10,000 fine, essentially, for him to play or to donate to a charity. Did Collingwood push back against that?
I believe that we had dealt with that situation adequately as a club. I mean, we are his employer. It is up to us. I sat down with Jordan and I accepted his undertakings, and they were undertakings given very seriously to me. He'd been suspended for a fair period of time. He'd had to pay a lot of money in legal fees. He'd learned his lesson by the time the AFL required him to donate $10,000, which is a donation to the Salvation Army.
So you don't think he needed to do that, or you guys tried to push back against that?
Look, I think we're in a system, and that is the system. But I was confident before that impulse that we'd dealt with it adequately.
So going forward, Jeff, do you just treat him the same as every other player on the list, or when you sat down to him face to face, do you say, hey, listen, because of your history, you've got different guidelines here, you've got different structures that you need to stick to?
No, I think he has to conform with the values of our club, as every player does. But when I see him and when I'm at the club and I'm walking around, I ask him how he's going. And
so no curfews, no non-alcohol, no nothing like that.
No.
Before we let you go, should Eddie Maguire become an AFL commissioner?
I don't know. That's up for the commission and the other clubs to determine.
Would you endorse it?
Well, he's got a lot of experience. He understands footy. He's recently out of clubland. I think the club experience is very important around the commission table. He's got great connections with government overseas in the media. Those are some of the qualities I would have thought would be required of a commissioner.
And it's been reported that you're very tight. Does he call you every day with what to do at Collingwood, or
he doesn't call me every day, but I just received a text from him as I was walking in there wishing us luck tonight. So he's been a great servant of Collingwood, and will always be a Collingwood great, a bit like the guy sitting next to me.
Jeff, just on the Luke Beveridge incident the other night, the top brass of the Western Bulldogs met and felt it was worthy of a donation being made to a mental health organisation that the Dogs were able to choose, and they felt like an apology was necessary. Now that you're the president of a footy club, your son works in the media, how would you have handled that if Craig McRae had done a similar thing to a member of the press?
I'd love to give you the answer that you'd love me to give you, but that's totally hypothetical, and I know Craig McRae won't find himself in that situation.
Jeez, you were born at night, not last night. You've done this game plenty of times before, Jeff.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in and chatting to us. Your boys are out on the ground. Good luck for the season ahead.
Thanks, boys. Great to talk to you. Thanks, Cal.
Jeff Brown with us, the new president of the Collingwood Football Club. Both teams are out there conducting their preliminary warm-up. The Magpies predominantly in white, in their traditional black and white stripes, and St Kilda out there in the black shorts. It is their home game. A sombre feeling around the Saints, as there has been throughout the sporting community after the passing of the King in Shane Warne. So the number 23 on one corner of the centre square, and on the other, the number 708. Of course, the amount of test wickets taken by Shane Warne. His son Jackson will also toss the coin.
Corbin, I understand about Warne. I understand also the Saints have only won one premiership in 1966. They had a player who was one of the best on the ground pass recently, and I've hardly heard any mention of him. I'm wondering whether the Saints have forgotten him. That's Ian Humper Cooper. It really is staggering and surprising that a premiership player, they've only won that one, nearly 40 odd years ago. No, it's 50 odd years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that surprise you?
I think it's a good call out. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't forget your people, and I just have a suspicion that he has been forgotten. I had to put that in because I know him. I knew of Humper, and I got on very well with him. He left St Kilda and went to. I know he played in West Australia with Swan Districts for a number of years. You probably you wouldn't remember that. Probably it was a lot before you.
A little bit before me, Mick, but I think it's absolutely worth highlighting for sure. The SMS number throughout the night and throughout the season is 0437 774 774. So at the SMS throughout the night. St Kilda and Collingwood coming up the first Friday night of the season. Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse to run the rule over the two teams as to what we're in for tonight.
I'm probably a little bit clouded in my view here, Mick, because I don't rate
both sides.
I don't rate the Saints at all.
No,
and I really like what Collingwood is building. I think they've got. I think they've appointed the right coach for where they can take this list to. They've got. I look at Scott Pendlebury is not the Scott Pendlebury of the absolute peak of his powers, but he's still a very good footballer. Steele Sidebottom is not at the peak of his powers, but he's still a very good footballer. Taylor Adams is a terrific leader amongst that group. Jamie Elliott can play. Brodie Grundy's a quality ruckman. So they've got some experience who can seriously play the game. And Jordan De Goey, who has to simply perform. He's just got to put runs on the board now. For all the carry-on, he goes at just over a goal a game. He needs to actually play some good footy. Jeremy Howe's a wonderful player. Darcy Moore, I love. Chris was terrific. And now they're sprinkling in some really top-end young talent.
Yeah, Henry's a good player, and we know that Dacos is a good player.
Yep.
I want to, given it's the Saints' home game, I just want to come back to them for a sec. They've got the potential to be a very good football side. And I think that's the worry.
I don't believe that.
Well, I think they've got the potential to be... Because I don't reckon the competition's all that strong. I think there's a 2 or 3 sides perhaps at the top. Then I reckon there's 8 or 9 sides relative to what's going on around them. Maybe the emergence of Carlton last night. They did trail into the last quarter, put in Walsh and see how they go. They better again. And they did that game without their 2 forwards. You wouldn't have known on the ground. That's Curnow and Mackay.
Yeah.
So I look at the Saints and think, if they're going to have everything going towards King, that's a mistake for the start off. So others have to get involved. They've got a wonderful ruckman in Marshall.
Yep.
About 3 years ago, you will probably remember this, I remember Seb Ross playing on Dangerfield.
Playing run with rolls, yep. And him at his best.
And he was at his best.
Yep.
What's happened to that? All of a sudden, he either doesn't want to do it or he's not doing it. And so there's one player down in the middle. They've still got Hill. They're still wrapped up in Hill. Feeding him. He will be playing up next to me tonight. I can give you the tip. So then you've got
The big into that midfield is Jade Gresham, if he plays as a forward or a mid.
Well, he'll play both.
Gresham can actually play.
Well,
He's a serious
absolutely
footballer.
is. They'll miss Clark, but every side's going to have someone not playing who you'd like to be playing. But the Saints, this is a game tonight. I've gone for the Saints for the simple reason their form right now is not bad. I know Collingwood is quite good. They will miss Maynard. I like Maynard as one of the best players that Collingwood have got. I hear what you're saying about Pendlebury, and I also hear what you're saying about Sidebrook. I don't think either one of them last year were anywhere near effective enough to. And I'm almost suggesting that when you've got a little bit left in the cup, you should go. So this will be interesting to see what sort of pre-season that those two boys have had, because they are wonderful players when it's working for them. Dacos, where they play him half-back or put him in the middle. I think it's a good move if they play him as a half-back, let him get into the game and then bring him up to the ball. But there's too many iffy things at Collingwood also, unless that's straightened out by Craig McRae. And he's a decent bloke, Craig McRae, and will they act for him? What's my son say to me? Dad, I always pick the side that's got a new coach because they perform well for the first one. So now I haven't used that theory yet, so I've gone against his theory. But you know what, he does speak. It's because you never know, do you? You don't know what impact they have on until they run down the race and play.
No, you don't. You're right. And I can only go by what I've heard. And we interviewed him on The Lead on ABC last year when he first got the job. And I just finished that interview so impressed with him, the way he spoke, what his philosophies were, the culture that he's trying to build. So I think they've got the right person. I think the combination is good between experience and youth. The Saints, I try and go through and find real top-end, absolute A-grade talent in there. You got? Jack Steele certainly is, no question whatsoever. Rowan Marshall could become an A-plus ruckman this year.
No, I think he's close to it.
Yeah, not quite. Jade Gresham, I think, can become an A-grader.
Yep, but he's coming off a knee.
He's coming off a knee. Where next? Now, Max King will certainly be an A-grader one day.
He's 3 years off.
He's not there yet.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Brad Crouch, Seb Ross, these types of players are solid, good footballers. They're not absolute A-plus talent.
I think Sinclair off a halfback flank is a really good. He's done what you expect a player who can find the ball on the forward line, but finds it better. A bit like Atkins. Geelong, who I thought just a struggler in the half forward line, but goes back and plays a really valuable role. Sinclair to me is a better player, but I still don't think Collingwood have got enough good players to beat the Saints on their best day at this stage.
Tips tonight?
I've gone Pies. Mick's gone Saints.
I'll go Saints.
Let's get down to the fifth member of our crew. He's on the boundary for every Friday night in Victoria throughout the season again. His name is Tim Hodges. Hello, Hodgie.
Hello to you guys. Nice to be with you, Corbin and crew. Jackson Warren tossed a coin, so a really lovely moment out in the middle of the ground. Scott Pendlebury won the toss, and the Magpies will kick to the right of screen if you're at home watching on the telly, listening to us. It's a special night where the Saints are really paying tribute to Shane Warne. They warmed up in Warne 23 tops. The markings are out on the field, and Shane's mum and dad and his 3 kids are here tonight. We hope they can enjoy the game. I've got to say to you guys, I'm not sure whether it's just we've been watching too much footy in the last couple of years in empty stadiums, but it is the most spectacular atmosphere here at the Docklands. A full house, fully sold out, 45,000 plus. They're expecting. The new screens are brilliant. The PA system has been tarted up, and it's so loud I can hardly hear myself think. Peking Duck performed before the game, and I am no expert here, but they were absolutely awesome.
Oh, Hodgie, Mick said it's his favourite, Peking Duck.
Peking Duck. I thought, what are they handing this Peking Duck out? Why don't they think so in our room?
He likes to eat it, yeah. The roof is closed at the Docklands, 19 degrees still. It is still really warm. Interesting, Mason Cox still has the sunnies on out there. Just repeating, no late changes. The medical subs for St Kilda, it's Nasiah Wanganeen Malera, and for Collingwood, Tom Wilson. It is awesome to see people back at the footy, guys, in Melbourne, and this place will be rocking.
There's so many things to look at, as you said, not just Mason Cox's goggles, Scott Pendlebury off the back flank, 4 debutants, including Nick Dacos with that famous Collingwood surname, and Ben Patton playing his first game in over a year, coming back from that broken leg. A fascinating matchup in the coach's box. Brett Ratton starting his 3rd full year in charge. Expectations high on St Kilda internally to see how they go, while Craig McRae starts a new era with the Magpies. 2 foundation clubs in the competition. The next page is about to be written. It's the Pies and the Saints. Friday night footy for the first time in 2022 on Grandstand AFL. You're with Kelly Underwood.
And the 126th VFL AFL season. Grundy and Marshall. It goes to ground. A little hurried kick out of the centre there by Crouch. Going to ground was Adams. Swooping on it is Dacos. This is the older Josh. And then stabs it to Dugowie, who goes short to Lipinski. The former Western Bulldogs. Patrick Lipinski's got it at half forward. He goes short. Does it just get there? Is that a mark paid? It is. Bianco had to get right down low. He handballs back to Lipinski. Fake one way, goes the other on the left. Perfect pass on the chest. Brodie Myercheck, first set shot for the night. Heading to the southern end of the stadium. He's about 35 metres out on a 45-degree angle.
And just tactically watching the Pies at the moment, Jordan Dugowie starting in the centre bounce, but just really charging forward. Drifted into that forward line, what we call the Dusty Martin role over the last couple of years.
He knows how to find a goal, Brodie Myercheck, leading goal kicker for the last 2 years, but this one just hangs it out to the right. And it's a poor miss to start.
Yeah, there's no worries about his distance there, Kel, as you say, but and he's generally very, very accurate.
Sinclair marks the kick out from Webster and then goes short to Battle. He's been training down in defence throughout the summer. Kicks down the line. Grundy flies. King in front got a hand to it. Imagine tackled over the boundary. We'll have a throw in as Rowan Marshall locks one up first in the opening quarter. So an early tackle for Big Rowan, who's going it alone in the ruck today in the absence of Paddy Ryder. Boy, they got a few out. No Caulfield, Jones, Hanbury, Clark, Billings, all missing from the boundary throw-in. Steele grabs it, dispossessed. Dugowie scoops. Hand pass further afield to Lipinski. He fumbles close to the boundary line. Steele keeps it alive and the Saints away. This is Ross. He kicks down the wing. Pendlebury spoils. Quainer with the sit. Passing through. Quainer drops to his knees. Hand pass coughs it up to McKenzie.
And the McKenzie kick is going to bounce. Madgen's there, has to rise. Standing start, it's taken away by King. King is tackled by Dacos. That's Dacos Jr. That's why the Pies were calling holding the ball. Dacos able to scoop it up again. He's getting a couple of early touches to Hal. His second kick is effective, goes to centre half forward for the Pies. But able to chop it off there is Callum Wilkie. Brings it to the broadcast side. McKenzie marks uncontested. Short to Seb Ross. He's just going to stab it back inboard, and the mark has been taken by Crouch.
I reckon Ross is picking up Dugowie
yes,
as best as he possibly can, but they lose each other pretty quickly.
Crouch goes almost to the left forward pocket. A couple of Pies miss it. Marshall at the back picks it up, throws it on the boot. Somehow Higgins keeps it in play. Higgins then pays for the free. The umpire puts his whistle away. Madgen. Handball, quick little give and go between Dacos it is and Howe, but Dacos' kick has gone straight down the throat of Mason Wood. So it was an outside of the boot, last line of defence from Nick Dacos.
And some Kilda players have gone up to Nick Dacos, letting him know that he's the one who turned it over. Collingwood players, as you can understand, looking after a debutant, so a bit of push and shove off the ball, but all clearing out now.
So scuffle on the edge of the goal square. Meanwhile, Mason Wood with the set snap from 30 out. And Mason Wood, who's playing a lot on the wing this year, has recorded the opening goal of the evening between the Pies and the Saints. 1 straight 6 to the Pies, 1 behind.
Interesting to see how he goes, Lingy. He's been around the traps for a long time and really struggled for consistency, and he's an awkward size. He's not medium flank and he's not hot, tall central player. Can mark but can't mark against a big player.
Yeah. And can disappear for an entire game.
Yeah, this will be a great test for him because I reckon everyone, Woods will lead in on top of King. Membry should pop out and Woods should pop out. So it'll be interesting to see. And that kick there, I've got to say, don't worry about the kick because he tried his hardest. But the structure of St Kilda was perfect. Always surround what goes in and then put some pressure on.
Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Ling on Grandstand AFL. And umpire Ray Chamberlain. The umpire's in yellow. He's out there with Robert O'Gorman and Justin Power. Thumps it into the turf at the restart Over the footy is Crouch. Pack forms around him. Umpire circles and says Lipinski's taken high. So Paddy Lipinski will get the free in the middle, along with Nick Dacos to bolster that Collingwood midfield in 2022. Kicks to the hot spot. Big fly from Howard. Can't come down with the footy to going through traffic. Hand pass to McCreary. He works it to half forward. Elliott wanted to get on his preferred side. Hands it back to Josh Dacos. Spears the kick into the pocket. And Henry marks against the fence. Right half forward. He's 40 metres out. Pressed up against the boundary line.
I know they've got great raps on this kid. Internally, he's just works hard, listens, wants to be a very good footballer, and good size, ripping size.
He's got tricks too.
Yeah,
he's got a little sideways movement to buy himself time and space.
In Chris Main's old number 16, he snaps off the left boot, hits the fat part of the footy. It floats to the opposite behind post, carries everybody, and was touched out of bounds. So we'll have a throw in the opposite pocket. Left forward pocket for the Magpies. It's St Kilda by 5 points. Tim Hodges on the boundary. Hodgie.
Guys, the new scoreboards, new PA system. There's also the new LED lights. I'm not sure, Lingy and Mick, if you can see them. They are so bright. You'll see forwards and defenders get lost. They'll just lose their sight when the ball goes high, and they'll lose the ball in these lights. They are so bright. It actually changes the look of the ground.
So boundary throw in. Inside 50 here for the Pies. Side bottom swoops. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Hacking it out of there. But missing was DeGoey. And what an exciting start for Jordan DeGoey. He's had the most touches so far after 6 minutes, Lingy. He's gone with the 4 disposals.
Yeah, it was a good move, putting him in the middle to start. Now pushing him forward, get dangerous deep.
Sinclair long to half back, side bottom there for the Magpies. Fumbles it under pressure over the line. So a throw in 70 out for the Magpies goal.
It is very bright. Hodgie's right. The two of you almost need the Mason Cox glasses.
I've got my sonnies in the bag, actually. I might bring them out. That was fumbled by his side bottom. He doesn't do that normally. That's why I say this will be a great test to see where his season is.
Pies win it at the coalface. Lipinski hand pass back into traffic, but it's Steele on the bottom of the pack, as he so often does. Gets it out to Gresham, away to Butler. Fast hand pass to Wood. His hand pass picked off. Side bottom through the centre square. Kicks Collingwood inside 50. Kind bounce for Myercheck. He snaps and kicks Collingwood first. An early lead change. Pies back in front. Brodie Myercheck with his first of the season. And that chaotic bounce inside the forward 50 worked perfectly for the big Magpies forward. It's Collingwood 1-2, St Kilda 1 straight. We're about 7 minutes in on Grandstand AFL.
Terrific pressure through the middle of the ground. The Saints were just that one handball away from just completely breaking it open, but Collingwood's relentless pressure caused the turnover. Steele side bottom was able to swoop on it, and Corbs, you're right, it was a good description. It was just a mongrel of a kick inside forward 50, and Myercheck ran onto it. Nice finish.
Yeah, that was a very poor hand pass in the middle. It's amazing, as you say, Lingy. All you need is that one little touch that's not quite right, and all the players are out of position, and that's what took place.
So the 7-foot American Mason Cox into the ruck with the wraparound sunnies on, and he gets the tap as well. Straight down to Crisp, who's set upon the reigning best and fairest from last year, and that's holding the ball. Still will be rewarded. So Steele swings around and goes long, quick, over the head of Higgins. Waiting at the back was Howe. His handball was a little bit too hot there for Dacos, but he does well in tandem with a side bottom, and then the kick from Dacos is able to clear the defensive 50 and roll over the boundary line. Boundary throw in on the City side. Bit of a nervous start for big raps on young Nick Dacos. He's been built for this big occasion, a prodigy. Father-son recruit. What a moment for him. Dacos straight down the throat of Crisp. How's that for ruck work? And then gives it off to the run of Lipinski, who goes down the line, and Elliott backing back. Takes a strong mark. Wheels around. He's 55 out. Who's he got at the top of the square? It's Ollie Henry all by himself. He flew. He goes to ground. Howard. And now a chance for Ginnivan. So Howard, a little casual last line of defence, and the quick speedster Ginnivan almost pounced on it. Nearly a fumble from Howard. But Ginnivan only a metre out. It was a really tight angle. Couldn't find the big sticks.
Ollie Henry had made the move on Howard then, and almost went panicked too early. He had him beaten and just needed to protect the space a little bit.
Pies by 3. Howard on the kick out to halfback, and Higgins stands underneath it and marks. Second year as a Saint, straight back into the corridor, finds Jack Steele, the captain. Centre half back for St Kilda, he goes short to Ross. Defensive side of the broadcast wing, Dock side, kicks out further wide to Kent, who marks up over halfway, looks deep inside the forward 50. That's Gresham down there in the pocket. It carries he and Moore and skids out of play. Forward pocket for the Saints.
Darcy Moore lining up on Max King. That's a great duel.
Great matchup. And just watching Darcy Moore then, the amount, how quickly he covers the ground to get to that long kick.
Yeah.
Amazing athlete.
Boundary throw in left forward pocket here for St Kilda. Marshall and Cox. Cox assumes front position. Howe at ground level awkwardly just hacks it out of there. Playing in front was Elliott. At half back he's got it. He spears the ball perfectly and finds DeGoey, marking right in front of the Collingwood bench. Thought about handballing over to Josh Dacos. He's still got the ball right in front of the interchange gates. He's going to go short and sideways to the skipper in Pendlebury.
They've loaded up on the far side of the ground. It's obviously a set play. Get the switch as quick as they can.
And the switch is on. Pendlebury from one side of the back of the square to Moore. Moore tucks the ball under his arm, has a dash and then drives it long, and that was a pinpoint pass. Bianco marks it. Bianco could barely believe it because Sinclair flew right in front of him and missed it, and it was well judged by Bianco in the end. Is he too far out to score? He'd have to have 55 in him. Instead, he just pops it up to the hot spot. They run and jump. Mychek got underneath it. Cox on all fours. Flicks it out to Dacos. Swivel of the hips. Ginnivan breaks the tackle to Lipinski on his left boot. Lipinski, the new pie! And the Army welcomes him up on their feet. Lipinski's officially a Collingwood player. And the margin is 9 points now. Collingwood 2-3-15. St Kilda 1 straight 6.
Well, that came about. The hang on St Kilda is just they just don't cover the corridor nor the logical exits. They just go up the line and they feel comfortable within 55 metres of the kick, 30 metres inside. They forget that if you carry that football, it's going to go 55. And Collingwood had 3 players that they're more elected to go long, but he has 2 other players. He received and he had 2 other players he could have gone to. It was so poor by the Saints in their setup. The first goal coming back was a good setup. That one was atrocious. Quite just uncaring or not knowing how to block off its side that's got an easy ball.
9 points the lead now for Collingwood. And already a few little nervy moments for the Saints. Back in the middle, Gresham first clean possession. Hand pass towards Marshall. Sockers it to centre half forward. Kent collects for the Saints. Hand pass to the wing. This is McKenzie. He's 70 out. Loads up off his preferred left boot. Membry deep. Can't take the juggled mark. Tries to soccer it out of the air. Side bottom gives it to Howe and the Pies. Mop it up last line. Away to Moore. Kicks to half back. Turns it over. Patton takes the intercept mark for St Kilda.
Amazing story. His last game was that semi-final loss against Richmond back in 2020. He missed all of last year after breaking his leg in the pre-season. Pops it up. He asks them to run and jump, and Howe says, yep, I'm pretty good at that, so I'll do it. And he picks that off with ease. So good to have Howe back in this team for the Pies. He missed most of the pre-season with a groin issue, and then he goes short to Madgen, who goes short to Grundy. All in the defensive 50 from one side to the other. They've brought it round the city side. And now Quainer. Breakout year for Isaac Quainer last season. Looking to build on that this season. Kicks to the wing. Mychek really mistimed that, and Marshall stands his ground. Big frame. Takes the mark. On the Dock wing. He's going to kick backwards. And Sinclair. Speaking of good breakout seasons, second in their best and fairest, Sinclair. And they love it when he runs and carries, and that's exactly what he does. Striding out along the city wing, and he's kicking, looking for King, got hands to it. Pies at ground level with the numbers. Quaynor to Crisp. Breaks a tackle. Pendlebury back to Crisp. How's that for Pies fans? That'll get them excited. Through the centre of the ground, he goes with his left foot. DeGoey makes uncontested. Flying past, he was Noble. Accepts the kick, and then he kicks to Ginnivan right on the arc. Who's Ginnivan got? He's going to bring it back inboard to Noble. Just skirting the perimeter, still outside the arc. John Noble
Cox has got the matchup he wanted, but they've just gone there too slow.
Oh, and he's tried to get it to Cox, but it didn't carry enough. And Josh Battle, playing back down in defence this season, has taken the turnover mark.
We know Mason Cox's limitations, but the one thing you can do is when you're that tall and you get a mismatch deep, get it there as fast as you can, and the defender's just no chance.
Goes short to Patton. Patton long down the line. Howe flies, no mark. Spills to Higgins. Hand pass out wide to Membry. Kicks down to King. He went early. Moore did well. Moore gives away the free.
Yeah, I thought he took the body first.
Yeah, he flew for the free.
Early, yes.
Yeah. So Moore just trying to make body contact with King with the ball in the air, gives away the free. So King 65 out, just pokes the pass into a crowded forward 50. Membry leaping, juggled effort, can't complete it. On the bottom, Grundy, hand pass out of traffic, straight to Kent. Kent makes him pay. Pops it through in the pocket. And the hand pass from Brodie Grundy was a gift. 15 minutes into the opening term, St Kilda 2 straight, Collingwood a 2-3. It's the Magpies by 3 points on Grandstand AFL. Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
I thought it was a risky kick for a start off by King. He really just he hoped that someone would contest it, as opposed he had. And the difficult thing for King is he didn't have any options outside free, because none of the St Kilda players were moving Ling. No. So I reckon it was, and Memory almost marked it anyway. So it was poor defence by Collingwood first case, and of course Grundy's given it away to him. But it's an intriguing game because I'm trying to watch for the weaknesses. St Kilda's is clearly through the corridor covering it, and Collingwood, when the ball goes in there, the Saints seem to score.
Well, you're right about St Kilda. They are slow to defend anything around the ground, and Collingwood have had some more chances. Collingwood aren't taking those. They're not really sharp with their disposal yet.
So bounce down in the centre, and comes the way of Brown, Tyson Brown. He couldn't get rid of it. Pouncing on it here for the Saints. Unable to control it. It's a bit of a scattergun approach here. It's pinballing around. Eventually out the back. Trying to get involved was Burns. Socket off the ground. Grundy goes with the toe poke. He wins a bit of yardage. Gets it to half forward. Burns. Rather, it's Patton. Patton beats his opponent. Turns around and kicks straight down to Quaynor with the turnover. So he's got it right in front of the Saints bench.
Mason Wood can't get beaten in those marking contests.
Here is Mason.
Centimetres.
Yep, and he launched at that one at centre half forward, got his fingertips to it. It's socket about 10 metres inside 50 by McCreary, and then he's going to take off after it. Patton gets it. Handball to Burns, under pressure to Webster, right up against the boundary line. He goes long down the line. The fly from King, misjudged it in the air. Pendlebury, what about the hands? Madgen, Quaynor, so quick, so clean, so good. And now Crisp involved. And his corridor kick is going to open it up here. Dacos, that's Nick. He kicks out wide to Noble. Great little hand there from Wilkie. Might have saved what could have been a running goal for the Pies. And now instead it's a turnover and the Saints have got it. The kick out wide is taken by Membry on City Wing.
Well, second in the goal kicking last year with 34. Tim Membry just pokes the pass away to Butler, who's waiting unguarded and marks 60 out against the boundary line. But the forward 50 is filled up.
Oh, Max King's going to go crazy.
Butler just pops it up in the King direction. They come from everywhere. Off the head of Grundy, spills down to Moore. Down, hand pass to Adams, away to Noble, and now off to Nick Dacos, who's got it again. Hand pass out wide to Myercheck. Myercheck floats his hand pass to halfway for Ginnivan. A little fumble. Battle Sockers further afield for St Kilda. Wilkie had it, lost it. Head over the footy, and a free kick is going to come back to Myercheck. He was taken high.
Nick Dacos, 6 disposals. Jordan De Goey, 6 disposals.
Just to go back, when Membry had that ball, Max King was one-on-one with a lead where he had about a 5-metre break on his defender.
And his pace.
Just get it in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So Myercheck at half-back has kicked it straight to Wilkie.
They just need to be reluctant in football generally. If you want something perfect, instead of saying, look, I've got a player on a player, let's use him. Back your own teammate.
So Wilkie goes straight back in the direction it came from on the City wing to half forward. Butler applies a tackle. Noble does well. Gets it out the back. This is Nick Dacos again, working with Pendlebury across half back. Now Brown's involved. Quick hands to Adams. Quaynor, they might have mucked around with it. Handball over his head was Nick Dacos, if you don't mind. Marshall charges through, barges into Brown. Good work at the ground level by Adams to Quaynor. Quaynor now the long kick. Elliott flies. Spoil from Jimmy Webster was good. Hill attacks it at speed, and attacking him was McCreary. That was terrific. Gritting the teeth stuff for the Sherrin. Charging through Brown. His kick was smothered because of the tackle applied. It's Precious City in there at the moment, right at the 50. Brown, Dacos. That is Josh to Adams. He toe poked the kick, tried to get it to Ginnivan there. Elliott gets it. Elliott's caught. Was he ridden into the turf by Ross? Pies fans aren't happy. Play on. Noble gets it to Ginnivan, breaks the tackle, shrug of the hips, and misses the goal.
Oh, a few tackles there. People will be saying, when you hit those tackles, they've got to stick. A couple of them were just very ordinary finger tackles instead of arm tackles. But there was a lot of good ones in there as well.
High intensity, wasn't it? Yeah. That little passage of play, Cal, you did well to keep up, man. That ball was going everywhere.
I'm just going outside for a breather. I'll be back in a sec.
You've gone through a bottle of water already.
It's not water, mate.
Well, it mightn't be at the end of the day.
Time one in the opening term. 4 points. Collingwood's lead 2-4 to 2 straight. The kick from Battle down the line is too wide. Out on the full exiting defensive 50, and Grundy will take the free just forward of the wing. Grundy can send Collingwood back inside. Myercheck clever in the air, palms it to the advantage of Ginnivan. He snaps goalward. Oh. It's an unguarded goal that bounces through. Well, his teammate wasn't happy that the kick didn't come to him. The ball went not only over his head but through the major opening. Nobody was awake to that except Jack Ginnivan, and he comes up with 6 points. They count all the same. 3-4-22. St Kilda 2 straight 12. A 10-point buffer for the Pies.
And Lingy, how's Jamie Elliott? He was the target in the pocket closer to goal. As it sailed over his head, he turned around to Jack Ginnivan and gave him a mouthful to say, why didn't you give it to me? And he didn't realise it was a goal.
He was halfway through a spray, wasn't he?
He's 19-year-old.
What a goal.
Yeah, backed himself. I think he had every right, though, to have that shot under that pressure. You know, look, a young kid, 19, playing his, I think his 6th game. Well, I'm not too sure whatever games he's played. He played 6 games, 6th game. Yep. But I know you should lower your eyes, this sort of stuff, but that hook of that was, oh, well, you know.
I just watched the replay. He'd turn around, and him and Elliott were just laughing at each other. So, all's good.
I asked Craig McRae at the end of the pre-season, who's impressed you the most? Ginnivan.
Yeah, there you go. Bendigo under 18s, I think he played for him.
So it's the Pies by 10 points. We've gone 21 minutes in the opening term. In the centre, no one can get the clearance. Crouch rises high. Lipinski pounces on him. A couple of Saints player pounce on top of him. And it will be held up. So a ball up.
Dave off the SMS High team. Think the Saints will roll the Pies tonight. My apologies to Mick in advance. I think you took the Saints too, Mick.
Grundy to Lipinski. Lipinski tried to get a soccer kick away and he's won a free kick, so it'll come back.
He started well. Lipinski. Really busy around the contest, moves well, getting himself little bits of space, and obviously he's kicked that first goal. But
would have had an interesting 24 hours. He still lives with Aaron Norton and Tim English. So Lipinski goes into the left forward pocket, and assuming front position was Mason Wood, did well because Brodie Grundy was down there as well. So Wood with the intercept mark. Pies by 10 points. Just under 5 minutes to play in this first term, and a strong contested mark taken by Hayes, the debutant. Not Lenny, but Jack. He's kicked straight to Lipinski. So the Pies now can set up another 4A forward.
We're set up here across the ground as well as Quaynor takes the mark, links up with Madgen. Has a bounce, runs up into the front half, kicks Collingwood to half forward. Elliott hits up, can't complete the juggled mark at half forward. Footy comes back to him on the deck. Sinclair tackles. Great hand pass out to Adams. Hand pass to Myercheck. Myercheck on the run, kicks his second. Hot Pies in the opening term. Collingwood come up with their fourth. 4-4-28. Danger signs already for the Saints. They're stuck on 2 straight 12. It's a 16-point buffer for Collingwood. 24 played opening quarter.
You know what I really like then, Mick? Madgen took the ball from the switch here. He had another wider switch option to go to, and it would have just ended up one of those real pointless, slow switch plays. Instead, just ignored him and ran it 10, 15, 20 metres, took some ground up, then the kick to his forwards. He knew he had even numbers, so he got it into a 2-on-2. Let the forwards go to work.
Yeah.
And they found a way, and a brilliant goal by Myercheck. But actually take it forward and give your forwards a chance.
Well, you said 2-on-2 there, Lingy. 2-on-2 with the backs uncertain.
Yes, space around.
Whereas if he comes out here, and I just encourage blokes in the back line to run the footy because you make up that ground. The back line player at the other end doesn't know what you're doing.
So Grundy down to Ross, who turns around on his favoured left. Bounced over the head of Gresham. Trapped there by King. King goes long right on the 50 into the pocket. It's spoiled over the...
free kick.
Oh.
Saints ball.
So it was spoiled over the goal line, but it's coming back, and it's a free kick. I thought it was to the debutant.
I'll tell you something, Kel.
It is. It's not one debutant.
He's trying to get
it.
it.
Yeah, I thought it was to Owens, but instead it's to Hayes.
Yeah. He grabbed him. Crano grabbed him front on. You know what we're not going to find out these days? Who's it against unless we watch it, because the bloke can't remonstrate because he gets 50.
So this is Jack Hayes. Now, he's only about 15 metres out, but he's from a tight angle in the right forward pocket. Two-time premiership player in the SANFL, best on ground, loves the big stage. And he's gone from the Adelaide Oval to under the roof at Docklands, and he's fitted in seamlessly at St Kilda. And they've cut the margin back to 10 points. St Kilda 3 straight 18, Collingwood 4-4 28, and 3 and a bit to play in this first.
That was just a panic because of size, I think, from Quaynor.
Yeah.
And it's easy from up here as we're watching it. In that split second, he mustn't have realised it was a debutant, because even though a young player's got size on you,
26,
you should be able to outpoint them a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, he's a more mature player, but an inexperienced player.
Yeah, exactly, Lee.
Whereas I reckon he just grabbed at him and saw his bulk and his size and thought, "Oh, I'm in trouble here," and he didn't really need to do it.
And the secret is back into him as hard as you can with your eyes on the ball, because what's the free kick? You can't free kick unless you're out with your arms and shepherding. So if you go back looking for that mark and you're playing in front, all you do is you spoil the ball.
Just saw some shots of him on his mates on the big screen as well. They all have their phones out, as is the modern way to get their snaps of their mate kicking his first goal in AFL footy at 26, a mature age debutant, Jack Hayes.
You know, Corbs, if you don't capture it on a phone and put it on social media, it never happens. I think that goal wouldn't exist.
I think it's fair to say it's telecast, and those pictures will be better than whatever their mates are filming, as Marshall kicks it deep inside 50 for the centre square infringement. Off hands, it falls to Moore. Hand pass to Howe. Out wide, what a Josh Dacos. Mackenzie collects it, and he's taken over the line, so a throw-in half forward for St Kilda. Amy off the SMS, I'm going to rely on you for at least the first quarter, team. I've been sitting on Lonsdale Street for more than half an hour waiting to get in to park my car. I'm expecting it's a bumper crowd. It absolutely is that. Collingwood by 10, approaching quarter time.
Twirling ball back in play. Grundy's got it, and Pendlebury, Dacos, and then Noble spins out of the tackle, not holding the ball. And Madgen's got it, but he took it over the boundary line, so it'll come back for a boundary throw-in. So we're deep in St Kilda's attacking zone at the northern end of the ground. Collingwood by 10 points.
Did you walk in, Mick?
I walked down, yeah. And the city's got a heartbeat.
Oh, it's nice to see.
A lot of cafes, restaurants, chockers.
Pies have got a heartbeat early. Saints are just finding theirs. Here's Marshall. Can he get cleaned hands? Off to Gresham. Quick snap misses. Jade Gresham snapped his Achilles in round 3 last year. Hasn't played since. And gee, they missed his X factor, his star factor last season.
Howe takes the kick, Moore takes the kick out and then goes long up to the wing. There's a free kick off the ball as Mason Cox was felled behind the play. I know Tim Hodges saw that. We'll get to him in a moment as Henry takes the free for Collingwood, goes short to Lipinski, forward of the wing, kicks inside 50. To go, he's all alone, can't get there at full stretch. Sinclair outnumbered, does well. Hand pass to Wilkie, to Ross. Hand pass further afield, back to Sinclair. He's back on his feet, kicks down the wing, and Jack Hayes takes the mark, defensive side of the wing for the Saints.
Yeah, Mason Cox is a long way off the ball and he's hunched over at the moment, so we will get to Hodgie as soon as there's a break in play, because Wood's got it. 2 minutes ticking down until quarter time. He kicks, looking for and finding Membry. He juggled the mark, and it's been paid. Madgen doesn't like the call. Just a step or two inside 50 and just inside the 50-metre line. So Membry will back himself from here while he prepares to line up. Hodgie, what happened to Mason Cox?
It was Dougal Howard, Kelly, through the fist back to try and get some distance from Mason Cox when he took off from him. It got him right in the bread basket. Mason Cox is out in the middle now. He's still hunched over, still trying to get some air in the lungs. It got him right at the worst spot. So I'm not sure that will not look good on replay if there was cameras that caught it.
This is tough for Tim Membry. 34 goals last year. He knows how to find them, but not this time. He's missing. And it's through for a behind. So it's Collingwood by 8 points. 4-4-28. St Kilda 3-2-20. It's been fast and furious, and we've got quarter time in 1 minute.
Moore from a kick out, goes wide to side bottom. Marks at half back for Collingwood. Magpies led by as many as 16 points earlier in the quarter. It's currently a lead of 8. Half hour mark, opening quarter. Side bottom, long contest kick down the wing. Off the pack, spills to Crouch. 1-2 with Wood. Crouch then kicks down to half forward for St Kilda. Membry flies, can't mark. Falls to Nick Dacos. He's had plenty of touches, all in the back half. Kicks down the wing to De Goey. Backward of the logo, gets the jeers, tumbles a kick onto the chest of Henry. Turned out okay. Kicks a rocket from outside the 50, but it's offline. Needed a kind bounce, didn't get it. Through for a minor score. Collingwood 4-5. St Kilda 3-2, a 9-point lead for the Pies.
Hill a kick in. Bradley Hill goes short to Steele and then Steele further up the ground. Couldn't find a target. Marshall there, so too for St Kilda Mackenzie, but over the boundary line, so it'll be thrown in. Half forward here for Collingwood.
Quaynard's put some weight on, hasn't he? Around his shoulders and top of his thighs. He looks a real brute now. He's got good pace.
Grundy just shoves out Marshall in the ruck, taps it down to Ross, who tapped it to Steele. Steele tackled, kick dribbles about 10 metres. Swooping on it was Dacos. Gives it off to Lipinski. Back inboard to the left footer, and the skipper in Pendlebury could have gone for home instead from 50. He went short and tried to find Mason Cox. Couldn't hit up the target, and the siren beats him. And Collingwood will take a 9-point lead into quarter time here. Round 1 action, the season opener for the St Kilda Football Club and the Collingwood Football Club. The Pies starting razor sharp. 4-5-29, St Kilda 3-2-20. Mychek has 2 for the Pies. Lipinski with his first in black and white, and Ginnivan, while for the Saints, singles to Wood, Kent and Hayes.
The SMS 0437 774 774. Mike in Brunswick. Great to hear Mick Malthouse has not mellowed. Love his straight shooting and sharp turn of phrase. We like to think you're a big softie, Mick.
I'm a big softie. You know, I'm a big softie.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I could find a soft spot for some of these Saints blokes. It's a bulk at the back of Burke. What you got a bloke like just here he is. He is a senior player. You've got a St Kilda player already running at a Collingwood player. What's he do? He runs at him as well and opens up for Pendlebury to have a shot. Fair dinkum. Lack of brains.
More of that coming from Mick Malthouse in just a moment. But first, Tim Hodges on the boundary. Hodgie?
If you can see me, guys, Darcy Moore's just standing right beside me rather than in the quarter-time huddle. He was going to go to the quarter-time huddle and he's not right. He came over to the doctor. There's something... I think he's been knocked on the neck, so I'm not sure even if it's a concussion test, and he's complaining the back of his neck. So he's just gone down the race now. Both physios have gone down as well, so he's going to need treatment, and just depending on what sort of incident that was, whether they actually have to give him a concussion test as well. But clearly he's not happy and in a degree of discomfort, so that's a huge one from the Magpies, with Darcy Moore now in the rooms at quarter time.
Hodgie spot on as always. There was the neck and the head. He went back with the flight and landed really awkwardly. He's so courageous, almost too courageous for his own good, on the far side of the ground at their defensive 50, and the doctor went straight out to him to check on him. So I think Hodgie's right, Corbs. I wouldn't be surprised if he needs a concussion test for that one.
Quarter time, Collingwood by 9 points. First game under new senior coach Craig McRae on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling?
Hi.
The ABC Kids Listen app, with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations, and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Handball, quick little give and go between Dacos it is and Howe, but Dacos' kick has gone straight down the throat of Mason Wood. So stuff it on the edge of the goal square. Meanwhile, Mason Wood with the set snap from 30 out has recorded the opening goal of the evening.
Side bottom through the centre square. Kicks Collingwood inside 50. Kind bounce for Myercheck. He snaps and kicks Collingwood first.
Flicks it out to Dacos. Swivel of the hips. Ginnivan breaks the tackle to Lipinski on his left boot. Lipinski, the new pie! And the Army welcomes him up on their feet.
King 65 out. Just pokes the pass into a crowded forward 50. Membry leaping. Juggled effort. Can't complete it. On the bottom, Grundy. Hand pass out of traffic straight to Kent. Kent makes him pay. Pops it through in the pocket. Grundy can send Collingwood back inside. Myercheck clever. In the air. Palms it to the advantage of Ginnivan. He snaps goalward. It's an unguarded goal that bounces through. Elliott hits up. Can't complete the juggled mark at half forward. Footy comes back to him on the deck. Sinclair tackles. Great hand pass out to Adams. Hand pass to Myercheck. Myercheck on the run. Kicks his second. Hot pies in the opening term.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
4 guys on debut, 3 for St Kilda, 1 for Collingwood. His name is Nick Dacos. He comes highly touted. He had 9 touches in that opening quarter of footy. And under new coach Craig McRae, it's the Pies by 9 at quarter time. Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling on Grandstand AFL.
Hard to get a complete read on that first quarter, Mick, because St Kilda did a lot of things right and they played some decent footy at times there. But again, the same problems. You and I did a lot of St Kilda games last year together. The same problems we kept bringing up was that when the opposition, in this case Collingwood, create a turnover, it is wide open to go very, very quick into that Collingwood forward line.
And a very open corridor. And look, just for the public, if you're not watching the game, the last passage of play was a classical one of the type of players that the Saints have recruited. The ball was in front of us, half-forward flank, wing half-forward flank for Collingwood. A St Kilda player, I don't know who, was attacking the player with the Collingwood player for the football. Brad Crouch decided, I'm going to join in here and go with him. Now, every man and his dog knows that's not what you do. You peel off to take the next target. No, so 2v1, it opens up the corridor for Pendlebury, who elected to short pass. Could have easily been a goal. Two things that come to mind. Lack of intelligence, he's got that, so therefore it's not that. Lack of hard work, I reckon it's that, because the easy way is to run across and help your teammate add another number. It's 5 yards. Instead of running 15 yards or 20 yards that you might have to run to pick up the next receiver. That's hard work, but it's also under pressure taking the option of hard work and doing it for the team. And they're the things that are letting the Saints down that we watched last year. And again today, the 4 goals that have come have basically been right through the corridor.
Yep, absolutely. And Collingwood, when they've done that, have looked good, but they've also probably left a couple on the table. They haven't finished their work really sharply, but some good signs. Lipinski's been really good.
Yep.
Jordan De Goey, starting him in the middle. I think he's going to start again in this centre bounce and then drifting forward. A real positive. So Nick Dacos has been, I know he turned that one over and everything like that.
That's okay.
That happens. It happens plenty of times early on in your career, but has shown some real positive signs. So lots of positives there, but St Kilda, if they fix up that defensive mechanism through the middle of the ground, they're very capable.
Pre-season, it just can't happen.
They were bottom 2 last year, Collingwood, and inside 50s as well as clearances. They're winning both categories in this opening quarter and lead by 9. There's a free kick in the middle that's going Adams' way. It was taken high, and so Taylor Adams to take the free, get the centre break and feeds it perfectly onto the chest of Jamie Elliott, who takes the mark in that channel at left half forward. He'll shoot from right on 50.
Right, he's marked it. Okay, it's 45 there. He'll kick from 50. You're spot on. When there's a turnover like that, backline players play on forwards. Midfields run back and cover those. Not one player covered anything between 50 and 40. So therefore, Elliott's able to run out and take this easy mark.
So we're one kick into the second quarter, and already Collingwood shooting at goal with their second. They pop through another. Jamie Elliott threads it, and Collingwood now lead by 15. The Magpies 5-5-35, St Kilda 3-2-20. 1 minute into quarter number 2 on Grandstand AFL.
And Mick, you're absolutely correct when you talk about, so when you mean St Kilda midfielders ran back into defensive 50, but just kind of to be there. And there's a difference between just being there and hoping, I'm going to pick up a possession here, and heading back there with real intent to defend and cut off those leads. That's got to be your primary role before you can create a turnover. However, great play by Taylor Adams. Didn't hesitate to hit Jamie Elliott up on the lead.
Hodgie, have you got an update on Darcy Moore for us?
Yeah, so he missed the entire quarter-time break, Kelly, down in the rooms. He has just emerged, so he looks like he's okay and ready to return to the field. So that is good news for the Magpies. It was a neck issue, so they've worked on something, given him a couple of Panadol as well by the looks, but he's good to come back on.
That's good news for Pies fans. And they lead it by 15 points. Picked up there by Brodie Grundy in the centre of the ground to Dacos. Sharing it with his younger brother.
That handball was not necessary, Cal. Josh was in a better position, but good on him. Just looking after little bro.
Well, he handballed back to little bro Nick, and Nick's now got 10 disposals. And I'm not a Pies fan, Lee, but I'm getting very, very excited about Nick Dacos already.
He just finds it, doesn't he?
It's extraordinary. Boundary throw in on the outer side, City's side of the ground, and the Pies have handballed straight to Butler. And up and under, and Howe will fly right in front, and he'll juggle that. He beats King to it. Umpire says play on.
He was front position.
Oh, he was in front of King. He launched himself with that trampoline-like leap that we love. And he wasn't paid the mark.
Just a quizzical look from him to the umpire.
Marshall just out-muscles Grundy, takes it out of the ruck and kicks inside 50, blazes away. And Howe gets it this time, and he makes sure of it. He gobbles it up. The switch is on to Madgen. Brings it round the broadcast swing. Draws a defender. Handballs over to Quaynor. Quaynor now can move it to Brown to Noble all by hand. This is good by the Pies. A nice build-up. Ginnivan from a standing start. He's going to kick towards Tagoe. Had the sit. Got the hands there. Couldn't take it because of the pressure. And now the turnover is on. And it's the Saints who have got it. Hill handballing back.
He gives it away to Steele, the captain, who hurriedly kicks down the line, kicks too wide out on the full.
That is not... I know Jack Steele's the one who kicked it out in the full. That's not his fault. A simple handball from 4 metres away by teammate Brad Hill cannot end up on the ground. It has to end up at his chest, so he's got that extra split second to take his time and hit that kick. It was poor skill error.
Madgen puts it back down the line. Grundy spills the mark, falls to Steele, hand pass to Marshall, high up and under down to half forward, bounces on the turf in the end. King grabs it, wrestles free of one, hands it away to Kent. He's under pressure, spun around 360. Ump says holding the ball. And Lipinski, who's had it on a string, he's up to his 12th disposal, is going to get the free kick. He's also got 3 tackles to go along with that. The former Bulldog, traded in the off-season for pick 43. Goes down the line. There's a wrestle there with Marshall and Grundy. They both looked at the ump wanting the kick. It's going to go St Kilda's way. Marshall to take it in front of the interchange gates. Pies by 15. Collingwood have kicked 5 of the last 7 in the game.
Well, Marshall certainly has Grundy's measure at the moment, but ground level, the Pies have been the masters.
So they retreat. They go back inside the defensive 50. Marshall kicked it to Patton, and then Patton got it to Battle, who goes short to Hill. Still in that D50. He goes short, just the required to Steele, who's got it across half-back now. Slow and steady by the Saints. Steele kicks to a contest. The 2 giant ruckmen, but flying in was King. He launched himself from the side, outstretched arms, and takes it right at the tip. King in front of the Pies bench. Couple of kicks out from goal, just going to kick it towards Jeremy Howe and Grundy. And Grundy with the big spoil almost landed in the second row there at Docklands. We are under the closed roof. The Pies by 15 points. They've got this game just on their terms at the moment.
You really need King marking inside 50, because when the kick comes back in, Marshall's standing next to him, so they really had no height whatsoever down there.
Grundy and Marshall wrestle for it. Grundy second tap down to Adams. Hand pass to Crisp. In the defensive 50. Kicks from centre half back to the wing. Underneath it, Howard hands to it. Spills the mark but falls in the lap of Hill. He cuts into the centre square for the Saints. Steele takes the mark. Turns, looks further forward. Membry to target. Too much hang time. Howe marks on his shoulders. And Jeremy Howe pulls it down at half-back for Collingwood and lets himself down with the kick as he misses Quaynor 15 metres away. And the ball slips out of play. A boundary throw in half forward for the Saints. Collingwood by 15.
It must be an adrenaline rush when you launch yourself that high. So
Well, you got a nosebleed.
Don't ask me, Cal.
don't ask you, Lingy.
I never got anywhere near as high as Jeremy Howe.
The Saints are going to kick it inside 50 here. It's a tumbler, a wobbler, a tough one to control. Pendlebury on the end of it. He just launches it straight down the corridor. Wilkie goes to ground. Here's a chance for Degoe. He swoops. He traps it. And then he kicks to the top of the goal square. Elliott was there, but it was a bit of a 50-50. Was he going for goal? Was he going for Elliott? Well, he split the middle. And it rolls over for a minor score. So the Pies by 16 points.
The kick out comes wide to Marshall, who's going to work his way into the game. Big Rowan. He's up to, 11 now? 6 hit-outs.
He's been very good, Corbin.
Kicks a high ball down the wing. They come from all directions. It falls front and centre into the path of Madgen. Had pass to Grundy. Works it out further wide to Noble, who kicks along the boundary line. And the target, Bianco. And Sinclair's there to spoil it out of play on the City wing.
I just like to know what Butler and Higgins, how do they think they're playing football? Because surely to goodness, when you see the big boys go for a mark, you have got a crumb. Collingwood are slaughtering Saints at ground level.
So Lipinski read it best off the ruck, but it's stolen by the Saints. And now this is Crouch. He gets a long kick to centre half forward. Leaping there was King, straight through his hands though. Mopping up was Howe for the Pies. Bouncing ball, couldn't be controlled by Bianco. Instead he has to lay the tackle. A push in the back by Bianco. It'll be a free kick to the Saints.
What do you reckon?
I'm with you.
Where are they? I just don't get what they're ready to launch for a mark. What is wrong with them?
Mackenzie to Wilkie. They're over-possessing it here by hand. In the end, it gets to Crouch, and Crouch kicks around the corner. And I'm not sure whether he intended that or not, but King was steaming out without an opponent, and it landed on his chest. And King will go back and have a set shot, just a slight angle. Distance won't be a problem, and he should be able to put it through from here, Max King.
Yeah. Probably more luck than...
Good. I thought it was luck, but...
Well, it was luck that he marked it. It wasn't luck that they won the ball through the middle, because they actually worked very well, the Saints, with hand passes. But Moore's still sitting on the bench, is he?
Looking to build from his season last year. 38 goals last year. Is this his first for this season? No, it's not.
Well, you don't miss those, Kel.
No, that is poor, isn't it? And those sort of misses could come back to bite the Saints. They trail by 15 points, and we've gone nearly 9 minutes in the second term.
A kick out to half-back from Nick Dacos. Howard underneath it and spoils it out of play. So a throw in between wing and half-forward for the Saints.
2 new faces, 2 new debutants for the Pies. Lipinski with 13, Dacos with 11, the most for Collingwood so far.
Boundary throw in. Marshall in front of Grundy wins it down, but first possession for Lipinski of the Pies. They come out of the stoppage with it. Hand pass to Noble. Kicks deep to centre half forward. Fist over the back from Webster, a good one. Henry soccers it further inside 50 for the Pies, then collects his own footy. Hands it out to Bianco. Hand pass to Ginnivan, centre half forward. Kicks top of the goal square, but Howard back. Takes the intercept mark for the Saints. Collingwood by 15, 9.5 played in the second term. As Howard goes out wide to half-back. Mackenzie takes the mark in the blue boots. Pokes a drop punt down the wing to Crouch. Measures his kick, wanted Hill. Too much hang time. Nick Dacos spoils. Falls down to Pendlebury. Gives it back to Dacos. Back to Pendlebury. Over possessing. And then Lipinski had it. He coughs it up too to Hill, who kicks deep inside the forward 50, but Quaynor's back. Lays it off to Howe for the Magpies, and he links up with Sidebottom in the opposite back pocket.
They're all over them at the moment, the Pies. Sidebottom kick is beautiful to Ginnivan at half-back. Ross the man standing the mark. Ginnivan's got a player short in McCreery, which is wide, right on the boundary in front of the Collingwood bench. He marks uncontested. McCreery wheels around and kicks towards Cox. He's surrounded by St Kilda players. Howard with the handball, gets it wide, and Wood takes the mark across half-back.
Rowan Marshall's got good touch skills for such a big bloke.
Yeah.
But it's just a little kick, but under enormous pressure.
But that's
Just hit it
because he
beautifully.
was a forward pocket come key position player, developed a ruck lingy, so he's got all those attributes.
So Wood to Hayes, and then Hayes wants to go to King. He's asking for it. He sets it up to perfection.
Can't get on, okay, he wants to get on, yeah.
So Moore's still on the bench down there, Hodgie, trying to get on. He's frustrated because that's his direct opponent.
He's been trying, Kel, for about 3 or 4 minutes to get on. He's just been trying to get the attention of any one of the Collingwood defenders to get off to allow him to get on. Finally now, 11 minutes into this term, he's able to get back on the ground.
So King, he's only 25 metres out. How's the man standing the mark? And he's missed across the face.
That's two shockers.
He's got the yips, and he had the yips for the first half of last season before coming good.
Cal, if I was to say, you must have a launch pad. He was just floppy in the leg. He had no real conviction to run through the ball. You've got to go through the ball.
Pendlebury turns it over from the kick out. McKenzie intercept mark, puts it back, top of the goal square. King tries for another go, can't pull it down in the pack. Falls to Wood. Wood collects. He's gang tackled immediately. Ball up 12 metres out from the Saints' goal.
That's a mark. I don't know. I'll see if he brings that down. That's a mark. What do you reckon?
Pies by 14, 10 minutes into the second. Grundy pushes it towards the boundary line. Josh Dacos collects. He's tackled by Butler. Kept inside the field of play. Umpire says throw it in now.
I'm probably just on the side of good call by the umpire.
Right. Did it bounce off the head? Because he pulled it back in front of the head?
Yeah, he didn't have it quite long enough for me.
Corbin, they always disagree.
We eventually get around to it.
So deep. We are into St Kilda's attacking zone. As the ball comes back into play, Adams reads it off hands and gets his kick away, but it's touched over the boundary. So we'll reset for another stoppage here, 60 metres out from the Saints' goal. It's King at the top of the goal square, and Darcy Moore now back out there standing alongside him.
So he's got two kicks without that Moore being out there. You've got to capitalise on those. His run-up was just horrible.
Hayes into the ruck, fires out the handball, and it was a good kick from Burns to the top of the goal square. Here's a chance for King. Can he dribble it through from 10 metres out? Max misses the set shots, but he doesn't miss with a dribbler from 10 metres out. And it's back to an 8-point ball game. St Kilda 4-4-28. Collingwood with the lead, 5-6-36 after 13 in the second term.
Well, Mick, we spoke at quarter time about the fact that St Kilda were a bit of an open book when Collingwood was moving the ball down. They have fixed that up to this point of this second term. The ball's been living in that forward half of St Kilda because they've got a better structure behind the ball, enough pressure on the ball carrier. They're starting to actually defend smarter around the footy so that Collingwood can't just release to that easy runner, and they're trapping it in there. And just weight of numbers, they finally get one through the big sticks because of a really good little patch by the Saints defensively to keep creating those opportunities.
Yeah, you'll point to Lingy, 9-3 inside 50. So as in the first quarter, it was 10-15 against the Saints.
Off the SMS, John and Jenny and Bacchus Marsh sitting by the campfire in Beechworth. We've been waiting for a flag since 1966. We keep on hoping. Great to have you with us tonight. The Saints back within 8 points. Collingwood lead it as they have done for most of the night. Free kick for a high tackle in the middle. Adams, hand pass to Crisp, drives it deep forward, and McCreery runs into space and marks left half forward. He'll kick from 30 out.
I love one thing that Craig McRae has done, Mick. From the middle, there is just no mucking around about Collingwood.
No,
it goes in fast.
And what about the manning up here? A backline play, your first point of contact has got to be a man, surely. Just hands on, let him know, but no.
Bo McCreery moves in, set shot is good. They get that goal straight back and return the lead to double digits. It's Collingwood by 14 again. 6-6 to 4-4, 15 played in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
You know, I get it, there's times to have controlled ball movement and slow ball movement because the opposition have got a number back, your team's strung out across the whole ground and they're not well set. But when there's chances to go fast, and we call for it to happen more often, gee, it makes defenders nervous. So on your point, defenders have got to, they love to know where their opponent is, they love to know what space they're protecting. when it is coming in lightning fast, every defender gets nervous, no matter how good they are.
Exactly.
So that creates that sort of uncertainty of, oh, hang on, where's he gone?
Yeah.
They lose a body and away the forward goes.
I know, here we go again. We're starting on Hill again. But there was no body contact, no contact whatsoever. So when the ball came in and the players split from him, his first reaction was, I'll look, and then it was gone. It was a metre.
Mason Cox beats Rowan Marshall in the air. De Goey fires out the handball. That was good. Chris accepts the handball, drives on his left, looking for Henry, couldn't mark in the air. Flicked up by Howard. I think those Pies fans thought it was a throw, and the umpire eventually swayed into that one. It was a throw, and it will be a free kick for Mychek, who is lining up for his third goal. And we're halfway through the second term.
Yeah, we're just checking the replay. I think both umpires paid it.
Howard it was.
As a free kick for a throw. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, it's a scoop.
Scoop or a flick?
Scoop or tap?
Yeah.
Scoop.
Mychek hangs that out to the left. It won't come back in time. And that is a let-off for St Kilda. Margin is 15 points. Pies lead.
Well, the footy guides couldn't work it out whether it was a scoop or a flick either.
Pies by 15, 17 played second quarter. Webster takes his ground and then kicks long to the wing. There's a whistle, a hold. Marshall was put down. He'll get the free.
He should get 50 metres, you know, Cox. You can't complain like you do then. He's fair dinkum. Complain like... I don't know where you complain, but anyway. Worth a good 50. Worth a good 50.
Marshall goes back to Howard, who marks inside the defensive arc. Collingwood by 15, 6-7 to 4-4. Howard short to Hill. Bradley Hill playing his 72nd consecutive game tonight. Hasn't missed since making his way to the Saints. Kicks down the wing. Kent under pressure, can't take the mark. Spills to Steele, hand pass to Gresham. He gives it to Ross, who kicks down the wing for Butler and takes the mark on the logo.
Hill's running past. He handballs to Hill, who runs into a dead end.
Well,
hammered into the turf by McCreery. And Brad Hill, his confidence is shot. McCreery wants to move it quickly. Hands it off to De Goey, who was flying by. Kicks to half forward. Cox worked his way in front. Brings it to ground. Over the footy is Pendlebury down there. He can't win it. In fact, it was Bianco, rather. And the umpire in the hustle and bustle says someone was legged. And that's Ross.
Brad Hill calls for the ball when he's running into a brick wall. Why do you do that? I don't know whether this is about... They should say to him, don't worry about your possessions, just play smart football.
So it comes back to the Saints. Ross, defensive side of the broadcast wing, goes to the attacking side, and Marshall, who's Hayes rather it is, bit of a Marshall lookalike. Same haircut, same stature. Hayes brings it back inboard to Gresham, lost it, got it. Hill saw them coming, throws it on the boot, puts it out in front of his teammate in Patton, who has to wheel around and go backwards to Ross. On the left, is it lethal? Can it find Membry? Great spoil by Darcy Moore. One-on-one contest, left forward pocket. Membry with the sit, but Moore gets there first, and the big fist over the boundary line.
He's got the new age headband on, Darcy Moore, which is almost like a bandana, whereas Aaron Norton the other night had like the Andre Agassi's.
Yeah, John McEnroe.
Yeah, with
old school.
Good old school sweatband on. The boundary throw in. Pack forms in the pocket here for the Saints. Comes out back door. Grabbed by Higgins. Gets his right leg free. Shoots goalward but misses.
Agassi was the wig as well. I don't think Aaron Norton's going the wig. That looks like...
That's all his.
All natural.
Looks a la naturale.
Collingwood by 14. Approaching time on second term.
You said about 5 minutes ago, Lingy, the Saints had bottled it in there. It's 2-1, Collingwood. So, again, like King's 2 misses, bad misses, but then even these ground balls have just been gobbled up. The Pies are playing much better ground level football.
Oh, this is warm applause for Nick Dacos, who takes a mark in the back pocket but kicks down. Brown got up really high, almost took a real specky to De Goey, who delivers to Elliott. Class from the Pies. Elliott still a long way out. Centering ball to Mychek. This is all uncontested. Still a couple of kicks out. He's going to go backwards to Madgen. There's the switch on. No, Madgen's right on the edge of the square. He's going to go back to Darcy Moore. There's no one behind Darcy Moore. He's the defensive side of the centre circle. And the short, slow switch is on to Howe, all uncontested.
Well described, Cal. Short, slow switch. So it's not really worrying the St Kilda defenders at the moment.
Go back 6 kicks ago, Lingy.
Yeah.
Elliott was free.
Here's the warm applause again for Nick Dacos. What a welcome it's been for him. Now he goes with the long kick. He executes it. And Mason Cox charged out like a steam train. Elliott with the underground handball to Noble. Noble to Josh Dacos to Pendlebury. He's 55 out and usually a good user by the left boot. And this time he lives up to that. He finds Bianco. I think if you get the tape measure out, Lingy.
Yeah, I don't know, Callie.
12 and a half metres maybe.
Try 8.
I was being kind. Bianco has been paid the mark. Centre half forward. He'll kick it from right on 50. Directly in front.
Oh, this is a big kick because you're right, Mick. The Saints had the chances, had the momentum. The King misses. But if Collingwood nail this one, all of a sudden they win the quarter comfortably.
Debuted last year. He's a Pies fan growing up, and this one's offline as he just gave it a little bit too much oomph to get the distance he missed to the right-hand side. The Pies edging out to a 15-point lead at the 21-minute mark of the second term.
One of 9 last year to debut for Collingwood, which obviously Nathan Buckley left his post. They had Robert Harvey as the interim coach in the back end of the year. King marks the kick out all the way at halfback, sends it down the wing. It spills to Nick Dacos. Silky hand pass awaited to Goey. Gives it to Pendlebury under pressure. Squeezes a kick forward. Got its way eventually to his teammate in Brown. Brown gives it to Grundy, who slips over. Lost it. His steal. Hand pass to Ross for the Saints. Kicks in the centre square. And a good mark in the end for Marshall with contact coming. Looks for King. Marks 55 out centre half forward. Kicks deep to Membry. He's unmarked and takes it right forward pocket, 20 out.
Good pressure by the Saints. It's 2 or 3 times that's happened. Collingwood have come away. This time the Saints come away, and they've come away with it very, very well. And then structurally behind the ball was good because the Pies got all sucked into play.
Goes to highlight again how crucial set shot goal kicking is, and it's not improving. But Bianco nails that kick, goes back to the middle, Pies are flying. Now, if Membry goes and kicks his, it's a huge swing in the game.
So the miss at one end, Membry at the other, does not. Through it goes. Closes the gap to 9. St Kilda move to 5-5-35. Collingwood 6-8-44. It's the Pies by 9 points. We're into time on in the second quarter. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, News Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Yeah, good call, Lingy.
At the moment too, Mick, I've just noticed Collingwood are winning the ball quite well around the contest at times. Ground ball, they're picking it up. But it's almost a really loose, clever flick of the handball. And they're getting the first one, they may be getting the second one, then the St Kilda pressure's coming again, and it's almost, here, you can have the pressure. And dishing it, and then the Saints are creating a little turnover and a little opportunity just through relentless pressure.
Huge crowd in for this one tonight. Tim Hodges is in row number A down there. Hodgie, what are you seeing?
Nick Dacos, Kelly coming off for his first break of the term. Amazing 24 minutes in. I might be giving away too much information here. I used to have number 35 on my back as a kid. Used to draw pictures of Peter Dacos with my Derwents in primary school. It's staggering how much, and I know he's his old man, how much he looks like, Nick looks like Peter, and especially number 35.
And it's number 25 here for St Kilda, who's driving it long for the Saints. Into the goal square it goes. There's a scramble, but no boot to ball for the Saints. The kick-in came from Dean Kent.
How good were a pack of Derwents?
And he's not wearing 35 because of his dad. He's wearing 35 because you started this.
Yeah, for Simon Presticomo, who he must have got 35 off Peter Dacos, did he?
Who, Presticomo?
Yeah, because I reckon Presti, it's a bit like you, Lingy. You copped your number and you stayed with it. I think Presti sort of said, well,
I want that one.
Well, mate, no, he was first round picked ages and ages ago.
From the kick out, Collingwood work it up to the wing. Pendlebury tumbles a kick 30 metres further afield and it's out of bounds.
I've got a quick question for you. If you're coaching Collingwood and Nick Dacos, who's clearly a star, says to you at the end of the season, I want to keep 35 because of my dad, what do you say?
Well, no, it's been set in. I reckon it's been set in stone because of a selfless act by Simon Presticomo, and I think it's a great opportunity for first round pick players to understand why.
From the boundary throw in, falls down to Crouch, hand pass to Butler. Kicks a high up and under. It's touched on the way through. On the broadcast wing, Josh Dacos tackled without it.
After Dacos retired, it was dormant for a little while, Mick, and then went to Simon Prestigiacomo.
Yeah,
no romance in footy anymore, Mick. You're not a romantic.
Not in that case. I just because that number, because it's a premiership year that was done. You don't win a lot of premierships over your journey.
They shift across the ground. Noble on the outer wing. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. Back to Noble. Kicks inside 50. At full stretch, Elliott can't reel it in. Spills, though, to Myercheck. Hand pass to side bottom. Running in waves. Side bottom kicks it from the pocket. Collingwood outworking, outplaying St Kilda. 27 minutes in the second term. Pies by 14, 7-8-50. St Kilda 5-6-36. Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling.
Well, I was saying about Sidebottom pre-game. Has he lost his touch? Because last year I thought he had. His first touch this game was a fumble, but from there on in, every one of them has been a typical Sidebottom touch. He creates the play. He weighed that up. He could have gone his right, comes back onto a left. Not many players can do what he just did onto the left side, slide it through. Brilliant touch, but it was all become of good pressure. The Saints were just a little bit fumbly and lost the last contest. But I think it was Sinclair that got smashed out of his hands on a tackle, and the Pies have had probably more pressure all day, and they've deserved that little lead because of it.
So he's been pushed out to a wing this year, side bottom, but Pendlebury into the centre for this bounce. Grundy, Lipinski should be able to pounce on it, and he does. He's tackled to the turf.
And that's what you want. You don't want Sidebottom to have to play as pivotal a role. He can be the complementary player and have that class of the finish like we just saw.
Thrown up in the air again. Grundy flicks it to Lipinski. Lovely little mood. If it's a bouncing ball inside 50, here comes Sidebottom. He wins it. He wanted it more than McKenzie, and then he's collected high by Webster. Pies fans aren't happy. There's no whistle, and Bianco can't keep it in play. It'll be a boundary throw-in.
And I'll tell you what, with Patrick Lipinski, the way he's going at the moment, you don't need to push Sidebottom into the centre bounces as often.
Couldn't get a gig in the midfield for the Bulldogs.
He's been fantastic.
Didn't want to move. Grew up a lifelong Bulldogs fan. But because of opportunities, he's done it now. There's been a free kick awarded in the ruck contest here to Marshall, who kicks back to Howard, defensive goal square, and then swings the ball right round the other side. This is battle going long and out of bounds on the full.
Marshall's certainly on top of Grundy. Just kept them in the game.
He's had 15 disposals, Marshall, and done really well in the ruck.
Pies by 14. Quaynor inside 50. Mason Cox with a contested grab. Reels it in. 25 out, just left of centre. And the man with the goggles and the armbands is about to go back and have a ping at the sticks.
Who was the Chicago Bulls player called?
Horace Grant. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar before that.
I did like Mason's pragmatic approach. He said, are you guys really going to get on me about the goggles when you've been running around in singlets and short shorts for 100 years? So he wasn't copying any stick at all for the goggles.
This is his first touch, I think.
In he comes, Mason Cox. He misses out to the right.
Is that his first touch?
Yes, that is correct, Nick.
Yeah.
So they're prescription glasses, because he did have a couple of serious eye surgeries, was blind for a couple of weeks after one of them. And he says because of the glare of the lights, that's why it works at night. As the umpire blows his whistle and picks a free from the kick in.
Well, Myercheck wouldn't let King get near the footy, so
King's got the free kick, and he doesn't waste any time. He tries to go to Marshall. Marshall couldn't take it in the air. Ground level, just shoving and throwing his weight around. Then there's push and shove. Madgen's getting involved, and Setu Noble and Steele, the two number 9s. They eventually separate. A couple of jump punches. Boys being boys stuff. A boundary throw in, that'll separate them. Grundy to Steele, couldn't have fumbled that, and Pendlebury, because of the pressure, loses it. Lipinski, a nice little flick, doesn't come off. And over the boundary line. Josh Dacos down there.
I'd love seeing the emergency umpire run out and really get involved. Isn't it beautiful? So he breaks into a sweat.
Always has to have the tracksuit pants on as well. It's compulsory as part of the attire, I think.
In front of the interchange gates we go. A boundary throw in. Marshall goes to ground. Grundy got a hand talk. Not really effective now. Crouch pounces. Bianco gets him. And it's half-time here at Docklands. The season opener between the Pies and the Saints. And Marshall still down behind play after that ruck contest with Grundy. He's slow to get up on his feet. He says something to Razor Ray Chamberlain as the umpire walks past, and a big wry smile from Razor Ray. But Marshall's up. He's sore. He's been the Saints' best player in this opening half. And the St Kilda Footy Club trails by 15 points at the main break. It's 5-6-36 to the Pies, 7-9-51. 2 for my check. And then we're going Lipinski, Ginnivan, Elliott, McCreary and Sidebottom. And for St Kilda, it's all singles. Wood, Kent, Hayes, King and Membry.
Off the SMS, 0437 774 774. Saints have been out-positioned and out-crumbed around the ground. That's from Bill. And this one, no name, no pack drill. But regarding the new LED lights at Docklands, I noticed them at the pre-season game between the Dogs and the Lions. They are horrible. You can't see. I mean, they are bright, and maybe it's sort of different depending on which part of the ground you're sitting on, but they are certainly bright, the new lights at Docklands this year. I'm sure there's some sort of corny transition that I can talk about. Bright lights and big stage as we segue into our grandstand AFL analysts and Cameron Ling and Nick Moldhouse with their take on that first half of footy. Collingwood by 15.
It's funny though, Corbs. I never liked the lights here anyway. They're at that lower...
Too low?
Too low. And just certain high balls, you do lose them. Now looking up, it would be very difficult to see certain balls that are coming in because of the lights here. So it'll have an impact, and players have to adjust to that. It's just what it is. You've got to deal with it, but it would take a little bit of adjustment. Speaking of adjustment, Mick, the Saints at least adjusted defensively to what we spoke about at quarter time, and for a patch, call it 8-10 minute patch of that second quarter, actually had control of the game in their half of the ground, simply didn't capitalise on it. And then Collingwood, just a little bit more efficient when they've gone forward a couple of times quickly out of the middle, got it in fast to their forwards and given them a chance. And that's why they've got this little buffer on the scoreboard. But at least the Saints adjusted things slightly. Now they've got to kick their set shots and actually make the most of those adjustments.
Yeah, totally with you. One goal more in the first quarter than the second quarter. So the net outcome still gives you in excess of 2-goal lead, but the game to me seems tighter now than what it did the first quarter. There doesn't seem to be as much space for Collingwood to run the ball through the corridor for a start off. When the Saints go forward, all of a sudden they look a different side because Memory's now starting to mark. We know King can mark. Got his goal off as a crummer. One of the things about King, and more for that matter, they're both superb athletes. So if it does hit the deck, they've both got a chance of getting it, not like some of the bigger players that take marks and that's all they can do. So they've got that capacity. If I had to say weaknesses, Collingwood, I think you might have said it anyway, it's the second, third and fourth. Maybe it's the fourth one that gets a bit sloppy and it doesn't necessarily mean it goes to ground, but it doesn't put the player in a good position then to use it. If I had to say the weakness for the Saints, I thought their back line wasn't too bad. I still think that there's a couple of players that don't do what you would do in a back line. It's the crumbing on the forward line. They 12 to 9 inside 50s. That ball hit the deck. If King didn't mark it and Memory didn't mark it, it hit the deck. Yeah. And it hit the deck a lot of times. Where were they? And it's the fundamentals. I guess, look, I've been spoiled. I've played with Kevin Bartlett. I've coached Philip Matera. I've coached Eddie Betts. You know they can still fly for the ball, but they know what their bread and butter is. Get under the feet, read the play. At least then when the ball hits the deck, you are there. Not stuck with the player or trying to outmark him or getting caught 30 metres away and going, oh, look, I just need a lucky bounce here. So if the Saints can get more from Butler and Higgins and these types around the base of the feet, then they got a chance of turning this third quarter into a positive, which they'll need to do.
Speaking of positives, before the game, I was trying to identify A and A-plus players for the Saints and probably battling a little bit. I had Rowan Marshall as potential A. Yeah. You said he's already there. And you've been proven to be correct in this first half. He's had 16 disposals, had the 11 hit-outs, compared to Brodie Grundy, seen as an absolute A-plus ruckman. Grundy's had only the 7 disposals and 17 hit-outs, so half a dozen more hit-outs, but pretty even. But Rowan Marshall has destroyed him around the ground, and he's playing a brilliant game for the Saints.
Yeah, he's a powerful man. You look at some ruckman who... Mumford. You look at Mumford and go, oh, yeah, okay. But it's what they do around the ground and how they impose themselves. Now, Mumford's well and truly retired, but the Giants grew because he was out there.
Not if COVID kicks in. Big Mummy will come back.
Well, that's another one. But with Marshall, when he's around the ground and around the ball, he doesn't terrify people, but he is so strong and so brutal. Grundy's more, I'll get the ball. I'm going to be I'm the other ruck rover type thing, whereas Marshall declares himself. And that's why I've been very impressed over the last... I sort of caught him about 3 years ago thinking that this bloke has got the ingredients because he just loves the contest. And, look, King can be anything. We know he should have probably had 3 goals. We know that Moore's a very, very good footballer. I don't know whether the game is really 15-point difference at this stage. It's only been little cameos by certain players that have got them there. So I think we're in for a good second half.
They used to call him the prospect, Rowan Marshall, down at St Kilda. They always thought that he was going to develop into the next big thing in the game. I noticed Mark Robinson in his top 50 in the Herald Sun, which is an annual talking point, which paper you write for as well, Mick. He had him number 15 overall out of every player in the game. Do you have him that high at the moment, Rowan?
I don't have him as 15 in the competition, but keeps playing like this, he probably deserves it.
Well, there's 18 teams for a start off, and you suspect that maybe one from each of those would occupy the top 50. I don't say certainly not the top 18 means you're top 18, but I rate him highly, and I rate him highly. He might not even be the best ruckman, but I rate him highly because all game, when Paddy Ryder comes back, he will be equally as important a forward pocket because he can play there. Whereas some ruckmen go there and they don't touch the football. So, to me, he's a more complete player than a lot of players. I would certainly have him as a first... Look, if I was picking an All-Australian side and you wanted to pick a position for each, I'd have no hesitation to put him into a forward pocket, say, OK, now you're going to do a cameo, not cameo, you're going to do 40% ruck and 60% forward because you know what you're going to get. And let me tell you else too, he marks on 50. It's a fair game. He's got a chance of knocking it right over.
Well, Max Gawn's the best ruckman in the competition.
Without a doubt.
But that second spot, it was Brodie Grundy. It was always Gawn and Grundy. That second spot's up for grabs, and who knows, by the end of this year, that could be Rowan Marshall.
Yeah. Well, Fremantle argue the case.
Sean Darcy?
Yeah, because everything we see about Sean Darcy's another one. Because you know what else he does? He kicks goals to it, Darcy.
Nick Nat as well, of course, is always in that conversation, but needs to have it complete.
I do love top 50 lists because there's always an element of forecasting that's part of it as well. So
guaranteed.
As much as it's like, this is what it is right now, this is also where I think it's heading, which I don't mind when you put those lists together. And great Philip Matera reference as well. Everyone loves when you just throw out some former Eagles and sort of random players that you've coached over the years, Mick. Did you ever get worried when you coach so many games, you coach so many great players, that when you're rattling off a couple of players, you just forget someone every now and then?
I do.
The phone lights up.
You know who are left out there? Lally Bamblett.
Yes.
What a wonderful forward pocket. Simon Beasley kicked 105 one year. He would have kicked 145. Lally, because Simon had a habit of double grabbing. If you do a double grabbing in front of Lee Bamblett, he's already ripped it out of your hands and run into open goal. The only thing that stopped him from being a great footballer was his knees. He did a knee after having such a great and wonderful 1985. Now, it's a long time ago, but he's another one of those. He would eat this job up today. Yeah. And I'm sure that you would have players that you play with. All they want to be creative as a forward pocket.
Second half action around the corner. It's Collingwood by 15 points under new coach Craig McRae, who lead the Saints at half-time. 7-9-51, St Kilda 5-6-36. But first, let's get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. One person's been killed and 4 others wounded after parts of a Russian missile crashed into a residential building in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Local emergency services say 12 people have been rescued and 98 successfully evacuated from the 5-storey building. Earlier, the mayor in the western city of Lviv said several Russian missiles hit an aircraft repair plant, destroying the building but causing no casualties. The head of the Hillsong Church has told an all-staff meeting that 2 women had complained about the church's founder, Brian Houston. Here's Lorna Knowles.
In a video conference meeting this morning, Pastor Phil Dooley said a female staff member left Hillsong after Houston sent her an inappropriate text message. Pastor Dooley said that a second woman complained about Houston after he spent 40 minutes in her hotel room while under the influence of alcohol and anti-anxiety medication during a Hillsong conference in 2019. Pastor Dooley told the meeting, "The truth is we don't know what happened next. The woman has not said there was any sexual activity. Brian has said there was no sexual activity." He said the church had treated the allegations seriously and Houston had apologised for his indiscretions.
A retired Catholic priest in Perth has been found guilty of sexually abusing a young girl more than 40 years ago. Richard Doyle would frequently visit the girl's family home between 1979 and 1982. Judge Belinda Lonsdale said the former priest molested the girl on several occasions during the visits. Doyle has been remanded in custody. He'll be sentenced on the 9th of May. Unions are pushing for government intervention on wage growth to ease cost of living pressures for Australian families. Recent surges in the price of fuel and groceries has highlighted the nation's stagnant wages, which are falling behind despite historically low unemployment. Unions say simply waiting for unemployment to push wages up won't work and direct intervention is needed. ACT Youth Secretary Sally McManus is demanding the federal government crack down on the casualisation of the workforce.
That could be done very simply and very quickly. It would mean that workers had more certainty and reliability around their hours, and that gives them more confidence in asking for pay rises.
The Prime Minister has praised the mining industry's importance to the national economy on the final day of his visit to WA. After touring Kalgoorlie's famous Super Pit gold mine, Scott Morrison announced a proposed billion-dollar nickel mine in WA's goldfields would be awarded major project status to streamline approvals. Mr Morrison's paid tribute to the resources sector during the pandemic and its vital role for the nation's future.
You can't pay for things like the Henderson wharf upgrade. You can't pay for submarines. You can't pay for warships. You can't pay for hypersonic weapons and all of these things unless your country is earning, and the resources sector is critical.
The chief scientist of the Great Barrier Reef Authority says even though La Niña usually brings cooler temperatures, it didn't prevent global warming-related bleaching at the reef. Widespread bleaching's been detected across the marine park, ranging from mild to severe. David Wackenfeld says December on the reef was the warmest December in over 120 years.
For Australia, it was the warmest La Niña we've ever had since 1900. The key thing that would make a typical La Niña cooler on the Great Barrier Reef is rainfall and cloud cover. But the higher than average rainfall we would expect to see with a La Niña has been on the east coast and not up where the Great Barrier Reef is.
The New South Wales government says people have started moving into motorhomes sent to help with temporary housing in flood-affected parts of the state's north. There are around 50 people left in evacuation centres, with hundreds still in emergency accommodation. The New South Wales opposition says it's taken too long to offer people temporary housing. A state government spokeswoman says all 40 motorhomes in Casino have been allocated, with people moving into another 40 motorhomes in Lismore from today. A coronial inquest into the death of Kumanjai Walker will be held in Alice Springs later this year. The Indigenous 19-year-old was fatally shot in the remote community of Yuendumu in Central Australia in 2019. A Supreme Court jury last week cleared the Northern Territory police officer, Constable Zachary Rolfe, of all charges related to the shooting. The inquest will begin in Alice Springs in September, with a directions hearing scheduled in the Darwin Local Court later this month. For more at any time, you can head to the website abc.net.au/news.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
So much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Taylor Adams to take the free, get the centre break and feeds it perfectly onto the chest of Jamie Elliott, who takes the mark in that channel at left half forward. He'll shoot from right on 50. So we're one kick into the second quarter, and already Collingwood shooting at goal with their second. They pop through another. Jamie Elliott threads it.
Hayes into the right, fires out the handball, and it was a good kick from Burns to the top of the goal square. Here's a chance for King. Can he dribble it through from 10 metres out? Max misses the set shots, but he doesn't miss with a dribbler from 10 metres out.
Free kick for a high tackle in the middle. Adams, hand pass to Chris, drives it deep forward, and McCreary runs into space and marks. Bo McCreary moves in, set shot is good. They get that goal straight back. Looks for King, marks 55 out centre half forward, kicks deep to Membry, he's unmarked and takes it right forward pocket, 20 out. So to miss at one end, Membry at the other does not. Through it goes, closes the gap to 9. They shift across the ground. Noble on the outer wing. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. Back to Noble. Kicks inside 50. At full stretch, Elliott can't reel it in. Spills, though, to Myercheck. Hand pass to side bottom. Running in waves. Side bottom kicks it from the pocket.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds of the second quarter. It's Collingwood by 15 points at half-time. They led it by 9 at quarter-time and have led most of the evening after there were 2 lead changes early in the game. Collingwood 7-9-51, St Kilda 5-6-36. A 15-point lead for the Pies. Now, there are 4 players on debut. Messiah Wanganeen-Millera is one of them. He is his father is Terry Millera, who played for St Kilda, played 30 games going back about a decade. He's the nephew of Gavin Wanganeen. That's where that part of his surname comes from. And his jumper, his number 7, was presented by the great Nicky Winmar before play today. So a nice touch with Messiah Wanganeen-Millera making his debut. He is the Medi-sub, though, so we haven't seen him involved in the game. Tom Wilson, the Medi-sub for Collingwood, the former basketballer. The other 3 players on debut, one of them is Nick Dacos. He's had 15 disposals, the second most of any Collingwood player on the ground, in the famous number 35, of course, that his father wore. And the other 2 debutants, Jack Hayes, 2-time SANFL Premiership winner from Woodville West Torrens. He's a 26-year-old on debut, has done a couple of nice things and kicked a goal. Meanwhile, Mitch Owens, who is the next-gen prospect, he was picked up with a bid that was matched after the Sydney Swans tried to take him. St Kilda got in and took him at number 33 overall. Unfortunately for Mitch, he hasn't had a single possession through the first half of footy, so he's wearing jumper number 24. His mum's Japanese, so he's a next-gen prospect, as I touched on, and that's how he got his way to St Kilda as part of the academy system, but no touches for him through the first half. Busy news day, as I touched on. Marcus Bontempelli has an ankle sprain, in doubt for next Thursday night. Michael Voss won't be there, along with 2 members of the support staff and Jack Martin. They've entered the COVID protocols. Ash Hansen, the former West Coast Eagles premiership player, will coach Carlton in his absence next Thursday night. And the other one's Christian Salem, who's avoided serious ligament damage, but does have some what has been described as bone chipping or cartilage chipping. So as a result, he's out of Melbourne's team for the next few weeks after undergoing surgery. Second half action upon us. Corbin Middlemass, Kelly Underwood, Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Ling. Tim Hodges is downstairs. Hodgie, any activity on either bench?
No, just watching the Magpies do their warm-ups to start the second half, Corbin. What strikes me, and I'm not sure if Lingy and Mick have noticed this, or you or Kelly, just the camaraderie. They seem like a really close-knit bunch. Even the boys coming to the bench then got around Tom Wilson, who remains the medical sub. It just seems a really close-knit, close vibe in that playing group at the moment.
Well, Craig McRae was really lauded for his time at Richmond and his time within the VFL as well, and probably a big part of the reason why he was appointed as Collingwood, for that connection and creating that unity and that really strong care and support for each other. So I'm not surprised to hear that, Hodgie.
I went out to a few training sessions over the summer, and obviously the 3 vice-captains have been named in Howe and Moore and Adams, along with Pendlebury, and it was those leaders, it was very obvious, that were running the show out on the training field. Very intense, but speaking to Craig McRae, he said he's been impressed by the fact that this group is really hungry to improve, and he's just focused on being connected and organised on the field. He's kept it simple, been connected and organised on the field, and the players have just loved the refresh.
Early signs are of exactly that.
Pies by 15 over St Kilda. Into the second half we go. And at the opening bounce, it's Grundy and Marshall swats it down for the Saints. Out to Gresham, hand pass to Ross. He links up with Steele, kicks to right half forward. Bouncing footy pitches, runs away from Membry and Howe close to the line, and in the end, Higgins inadvertently soccers it out of play as he's falling to ground, and a throw in half forward for St Kilda. Saints to the Lockett end in the third term.
Well, at least Higgins was near where the ball fell, and I think that's if they can get their small forwards doing that, they're going to be in the play a lot more.
Now, Gillon McLaughlin's new screens, the new screens at either end of the ground, which he described as his sexy screens, are actually covering up the names of the ends here. So we used to be able to see the Lockett end of the Coventry end. We can't anymore, but you can take my word for it. They are going to the Lockett end. As Hill on the wing for the Saints. His hand pass is a turnover. Cox grabs it, drives it deep inside forward 50, but Sinclair back. Wins possession for the Saints. Kicks it back down the City wing, turns it over. And straight to Nick Dacos, who's got it again. Possession 16 coming up, Cal.
Can you talk about him too much, Corbin? His delivery is to a pack right near the boundary line on the City side, or side bottom with a clever little hand flick to Lipinski on the outside of the boot. It landed at the top of the goal square. Pouncing on it is Dacos. This is the older brother with the snap in the number 7. And Josh Dacos converts another goal, and Dad Peter and I think his wife Colleen are up on their feet in the crowd celebrating that one.
Well, it was a great goal, a great snap. It was almost an inevitable result with the ball falling. No St Kilda player was able to control it. It was only a matter of a Collingwood player securing the football with just a half ounce of space or a metre of space, and it was a really great finish.
He's got just some serious footy sense, doesn't he? And just the way he moves when he picked this ball up, it's just clean. Didn't panic, laying it across his left foot as though he was just having a kick of the footy in the park. That's a difficult goal, and he made it look very, very easy.
It's the last thing that the Saints needed. They needed to come out and establish something pretty quickly.
Out to a game high, 21 points, Collingwood's lead. Free kick in the middle for the ruck infringement. Grundy runs away with it. Hand pass to DeGoey. DeGoey from 40. He's kicked it. Headlines and highlights for Jordan DeGoey. A goal on the run. And Collingwood now lead it by 27 points. Only 3 minutes into the third term. 9-9-63. St Kilda 5-6-36.
Well, the free kick was paid in the middle of the ground, I think against Rowan Marshall.
Yeah, I'd like to see
even though he's the one who ended up on his back. And they took the advantage, and brilliant finish by Jordan DeGoey on the left foot. But I don't understand how the free kick was against Marshall when he's ended up flat on his back. That's strange, and everyone stopped, and that allowed Grundy and DeGoey to break away. I'm not sure what that was for, Mick.
The thing that I saw the umpire do was put his arms out to suggest it was a shepherd. I'm still trying to come to grips with that. That's a very poor decision. I don't know whether the result would have changed because they had control of the ball, Collingwood.
Biggest margin of the night to the Pies. Rowan Marshall wins the tap on all fours. DeGoey taps it in the direction of Adams, who's taken over the shoulder. He wins a free kick. It was Crouch that got him. Adams sees something he likes in the pocket. He goes in that direction. McKenzie dropped the mark. Howard with the handball. Stolen by Lipinski. He's tackled by Hill. Saints fans wanted ball. The umpire says no, instead of boundary throw-in.
Well, I've been under the pump, Kel, from the moment that ball bounced from the third quarter. It hasn't looked like going past the centre circles at the moment.
That's because they got an urgency to go forward with it, haven't they, the Pies, when they win it?
Boundary throw-in 30 metres out from the Pies' goal. Cox just dabs it down behind him. Elliott on all fours is scrapping and wrestling, and he's tackled. Ball won't be coming out of there. Crouch with the tackle.
Nick Collingwood's had 9 disposals and 4 inside 50s to start the quarter.
And what were you going, about a minute and a half, or 3 minutes?
Ray Chamberlain throws it up. There's a St Kilda palm down to Wilkie, who just a defensive dump ball, and then Butler tried the kick. It was smothered. Butler gets involved again. His handball was stolen by Quaynor. Off to Pendlebury on his non-preferred right. It doesn't matter, left or right. He hits up to Goey, and Goey's going to line up for back-to-back goals.
That's a nice thing to have. To be able to have Pendlebury off half-back, and he's having little runs on the ball, so he's still going to have his impact around the footy. But if that can work for Collingwood because others step up in the midfield and Pendlebury defensively can hold up okay playing at half-back, well, his ball use and composure from there will be a real weapon.
45-degree angle. He steps over 50. He closes to 45. It's hit the post. Jordan De Goey. 1 goal, 1 for the evening.
The Saints have got some real work to do here, and that's probably to get the ball moving quicker than what they are, to see if they can at least break through that line. I look behind now, all I see...
Dangerous possession coming out of the defensive arc. They're under the pump here as Webster gives it off towards Marshall. He's tackled, dispossessed, holding the ball. A turnover, and Collingwood's coming back inside. Grundy to take it. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Howard spoils, close to the boundary line. Burns grabs it, tackle, ball comes out. Throw in forward pocket for the Pies. They're all over the Saints early in the third.
Yeah, what I was going to say is this Collingwood defence has got a real fence across the line, so the Saints can't find targets, so they are going slow.
Inside 50, 6-1. Boundary throw in. We're inside 50 again. Adams to Lipinski. He was stripped of it. McCreary traps it. Elliott off to side bottom. On the left, they can smell blood in the water, the Pies. And they've got bite. Side bottom's got 2. And in the blink of an eye to start this third, the margin has blown out to 34 points. Collingwood 10-10-70. St Kilda 5-6-36.
2 moments, Mick, in this last 3-minute patch that highlights how important side bottom still is to Collingwood. Yep. Clearly that goal, just the class of that finish on the non-preferred. But about 2 minutes before, when St Kilda were coming through and that extra handball, side bottom was the outside winger. Yep. So basically controlling the outside, making sure St Kilda can't break. But the moment that he saw that a St Kilda player squirted forward and was going to be the release, he was straight up onto him and cut off that handball.
And took it out.
You were talking about it earlier where Brad Crouch did the opposite and ran 2-1 and allowed Collingwood to go to the top. Side bottom covered it perfectly, so his smarts are going to be crucial.
34 points. Grundy down to De Goey. Here they go again with the centre break. Kicks it deep, top of the goal square. Howard spills the mark, knocks it away. Back towards his teammate Wilkie, who's locked up, and a ball up, 15 out from the Collingwood goal. It is relentless at the moment. 7-1 the inside 50s to start the quarter. 3 unanswered goals. Pies by 34. Grundy wins the tap, spills to Marshall, jams it on the boot. And Higgins at the drop takes the mark. Centre half back, not paid. Touched on the way through. Higgins hurried, kick to the wing. King spoils into the lap of Crouch, and the Saints up over halfway. King hand pass out wide. He missed Wood. Made it tough for him. Wood spits out a hand pass. They've turned it over. Crisp to Quaynor. He gives it to Owens, who has his first touch with a hand pass to Patton.
Patton with a high ball. It's marked by Darcy Moore.
That is a good mark.
He had to stand his ground with the big number 47, Hayes, bearing down, and he did just that. And now they open it up. The switch all the way over to side bottom. He's on his preferred side. He goes short. He could have gone long. He missed Noble, so a rare error from side bottom. Now he comes in and applies a tackle. And it's holding the ball. Noble will be rewarded. Showing no effort to get it out of there was Daniel McKenzie. They are all over them at the moment, the Pies. It was 9 points at quarter time, 15 at half time, and 34 points as Noble goes long. Elliott comes late, standing his ground, Sinclair. That is a relieving defensive mark.
He goes short to Gresham. As we touched on, first game back from that Achilles tear early last season. Kicks a high bomb to half forward. Hayes crashes the pack. No mark. Collingwood all the numbers across the back flank. Noble to Howe. By hand to Pendlebury. He's closed down. Gives it back to Howe. They got the numbers. He kicks in the middle of the ground for De Goey. Can't take the mark. Spills to Adams. Sockers at 40 metres inside 50. Great pick up Elliott. Elliott tumbles a kick goalward but doesn't get the bounce. Boy, he leant down and picked that up all in one motion. Never broke stride, Jamie Elliott. Comes up with a behind. Collingwood, their lead is ballooning. They are up by 35, 10 minutes into the third.
That was a sensational sweep.
It would have been one of the better goals we've seen, that pick up and in one step.
At full pace.
Yeah.
So the Saints under siege. Oh, Howe! Jeremy Howe launches up the back of Rowan Marshall, and all he can do is hang his head and shake it. Harrell has taken another specky across half forward.
I tell you who else has picked up his game too is Grundy, has been dominant this quarter.
Back inboard to Pendlebury, slows it down, and then he delivers to Brown. So Tyler Brown. Brother Callum didn't make the team tonight. He's looking for Mason Cox, who sets himself at the back of the pack. It's all St Kilda. Sinclair just dabs that kick, and it was clever to Mason Wood. Marks right on the boundary line, and the Saints, what do they do here? I mean, their heads must be spinning, Lingy, at the moment. They can't get it really past half back.
No. And
there's no speed either.
I don't mind this, though. Just take a bit of a look at the open side of the ground. Try and create a gap.
Goes back to Membry. Membry pokes his drop punt to Patton. Back flank, heads out further wide. City side to Wilkie, who plays on. He's closed down by Henry. Not a heap up ahead. Short kick, McKenzie marks.
Collingwood covered that beautifully. So they defended it perfectly, slid across, well played. But at least try it and probe a little bit St Kilda. But Collingwood are just really sharp right now.
McKenzie, long kick down the wing. Pies by 35. Howe over the back. Thumps it towards the boundary line. Side bottom there. Meets it with Crouch, and they run out of room. A throw-in between wing and half forward for the Saints. We've travelled 12 minutes into the third. Neither Matty sub has been used. Wanganeen Miller for St Kilda and Wilson for the Pies. It is Collingwood by 35 points.
So toss back in. Cox straight down to Adams. Hurries the kick. Quick fire handball. Lipinski's involved. Little fumble there by Ollie Henry, and then the basketball bounce pass off to Dacos, who controlled it, but the quick kick was hurried, and Wilkie has got it for the Saints. In the centre of the ground, he just hacks it long and strong. Howe flew, missed it. Waiting at the back was Pendlebury. Gresham ties him up. He loses the ball. Now King puts his head over the ball. He's got to get rid of it here. He has a tangle of arms and legs. Eventually it comes out. The umpire's throwing his hands up in the air, wants to play on before he finally blows the whistle. We can barely hear it over the crowd that's getting involved. Pies fans are happy. Saints fans are frustrated. Plenty of hope to start the first game of the season for these two teams.
Up it goes, side bottom, squeeze the kick out, only as far as Sinclair, collects on the run, shoots from 45 metres out, right to the goal line. It carries the hands of Moore. Did he get a fingertip on it?
He knows he hasn't.
They're going up to the arc, but I think Sinclair's kicked it on the run. And to say St Kilda needed that is one hell of an understatement.
Darcy Moore just completely misjudged that, didn't he? Because he looked like he had it covered, but he hasn't touched it. He knew it straight away.
He goes through lower than the padding on the post, so he could have got there. Absolutely, Darcy Moore, he misses it. And his former TAC Cup teammate, they played in the premiership together, Jack Sinclair and Darcy Moore. And Jack's going to sneak one past him for a much-needed goal for the Saints. Confirmation, 6 points. St Kilda 6-6-42, Collingwood 10-11-71, Pies by 29, 14 played, third term.
Well, that came about because St Kilda elected to get the ball in there as quick as they could. There were still numbers around, but they had no options outside, so therefore, instead of trying to create something and lose something from outside, put the ball in a position where King or Membry can at least contest the football. Even Hayes contests the football. Then it puts it on the ground. And as it turned out, Collingwood did spoil the ball out, but Sinclair was in the right spot. But you have to generate something, because right now the Pies are destroying the Saints at the source, and that is at the stoppages.
Halfway through the third term, Pies by 29 points. Mason Cox socks up to the knees, wearing the sunnies, and in he goes against Marshall. Marshall beats him in the air, straight down to Gresham. Bouncing ball at centre half forward. And it beats a couple of players. Eventually it comes the way of Higgins. He picks it up, he turns, spins, he kicks, it'll land right on the goal line. Oh, it's fumbled by the Pies defender down there, and there was a chance for King. He couldn't get those bright orange boots to the ball right in the goal square. Had the fresh air kick. Tried the soccer attempt, and that's why he's playing Aussie rules and not soccer.
Blood rule here for the Pies. Imagine coming from the ground. It was Darcy Moore again trying to influence the big spoil, but just
took out.
Took out players. And
when this happens, it's 30 seconds at least. If you can't, if Pendlebury finds a target, that is as slack as a yak, because you cannot afford, when it's 1v1 around the ground, you can cover most contests.
Pendlebury's going to go long to a contest at half-back. Howard whacks it back towards the 50 for the Saints, but Lipinski there. Hand pass away to Nick Dacos. He gives it to side bottom under pressure. His hand pass picked off. The big man in Hayes runs onto it and spears his kick to Higgins in the pocket. Nice work from Jack Hayes, the big fella on debut.
Very good. Very composed there.
The latest Jack in this pack. Hayes to Higgins, who snaps. He's kicked it across the goal face and through from behind. A minor score, Collingwood by 27. 10-11 to 6-8. 16 and a half played in the third term. Collingwood by 27.
What a luxury to have Scott Pendlebury on the kick-ins. He goes short, Pendlebury.
I still can't work out how a side can have that much room, though, and not be able to at least put some pressure on the kick.
16 games away from becoming the first Pie to play his 350th game. So the long kick out of defence is picked off by Hayes.
Yeah, pushing the back, and this is going to be downfield.
Okay, so the kick, as it came away, Hayes got the handball over the top, and it was Gresham that got the kick in the push in the back, rather, Lingy. And it's going to come downfield to Membry, who...
McCreary, was it, who did the pushing? Yeah.
Yeah, he's questioning it, and Gresham's just talking to him, and he points to the scoreboard to McCreary and says, have a look. Have a look at what you did.
It was definitely there. It's just whether it was as he kicked and therefore it should be back where the kick came from, or late.
So the ball's in the hands of the sharpshooter in Membry, and this would be back-to-back goals for the Saints after the Pies got out by 35 points. And he gives them a little pep in their step, the Saints. There's still plenty to play in this ball game. 10 minutes in this quarter and still the fourth to come. And the Pies by 21 points. St Kilda with back-to-back goals moved to 7-8-50. Collingwood 10-11-71. And that is 2 goals for Membry.
Every goal the Pies kicked came from a stoppage virtually through the centre. That's been arrested now.
I've got a theory. Brodie Grundy was the ruckman in each of those. He lifted, you called it massively. The St Kilda goals came when Mason Cox went into the middle of the ground.
Absolutely. But now this is a chance for Marshall. No, it's not Marshall.
It's Hayes.
It's actually Hayes.
Against Grundy. So Collingwood should look to get proactive here.
They really should. And have a look at where De Goey is. And can you believe that, well, now Saints are trying to work it out with Steele. Steele's got to take De Goey, block him. Otherwise, this will be a big clearance.
Last two in a row for the Saints after falling behind by 35. Saints get the break here. Ross jams it on the boot, kicks inside 50. Butler led underneath it. And Quainer takes the intercept mark in the defensive 50.
Yeah, disappointing Butler. That was a poor contest, that.
Isaac Quainer kicks to Cox on the wing. Hands to it. Can't mark. Howard whacks it away, but they've given away a free kick. It'll come back to Mason on the wing.
Is he worth his place in the side wing? I just have suspicions that he's probably the weak link.
No, not for me, Mick.
Cox comes out wide. Up goes McKenzie, knocks it out of play. So a throw in, 60 out from the Pies goal. Had to wait a long time to get his place on the list in the end, Mason Cox. They waited for Max Lynch, who eventually went to Hawthorn, and only decided to sign him really late in the summer. And here he is playing the first game of the season in the best 22 for round one. Collingwood by 21 for the boundary throw-in. Steele, hand pass away to Hill, gives it to McKenzie, goes short to Jack Sinclair at half-back. He kicks long down the wing. King, strong contested grab. Broadcast wing for the Saints.
And he's going to bring it back inboard to Hill. Hill sidesteps around McCreery. He's usually good by foot, and this time he's perfect. Silver service delivery to Higgins, who's on the end of it. And almost directly in front, only 35-40 metres out for Higgins. And this is a big set shot for goal for St Kilda.
And I've been on Hill's case for 12 months or more.
Yes.
Positioned himself beautifully, read the play, waited for the player on the mark to actually get the whistle from the umpire.
And Higgins never gave that a chance. He's pushed it right across the face. But you're right, Mick, you have been on his back quite a bit.
Well, that was a beautiful kick, found a target, and a wasted shot in the end.
Oh, how dangerous kick out. Wood's going to steal it away from Nadgen, the intended target. Wood kicks back to the top of the goal square. Punched to the boundary line by Moore and out of play. So a throw-in alongside the behind post. Forward pocket for the Saints.
Good setup by Collingwood, actually. I reckon Collingwood have got a good setup here. At least they kept their forwards outside the 50 so they can contest the ball comes out.
Saints with momentum late in the third. Tangle between Grundy and Hayes. Free kick, Hayes.
Hayes has had a big 5 minutes here. Couple of important touches. Won that centre bounce before when we thought Collingwood had the advantage. And now he's gone forward at this stoppage. He's drawn a free kick. Yep, clearly there. The left arm of Brodie Grundy slipped high. And if he can nail this...
He's a goal kicker, isn't he? Isn't he supposed to be a goal kicker?
Yeah, kicked a bag in the SANFL Grand Final, won the Oatley medal as the player adjudged best of field. Twice a premiership winner. He's 26 years of age on debut with the big, heavy number 47 on his back. He's got two, and the Saints are back in the game. They've kicked three on the bounce as we tick into time on in the third term. Collingwood's lead has evaporated. They were up by 35. They now lead by just 14. Collingwood 10-11-71. St Kilda moved to 8-9-57. Momentum here with the Saints. 22 played third term.
Lingy, the two games that we've seen so far this week have had big surges and then nothing than a surge again by the both sides. Yep. By 5 and 8 and 4 and that. We've seen it in here. A lot of it's, I know momentum's hard to stop, but we've seen it, it really does come in this football we've seen today. You rarely get too many scores from your backline these days. You get it from the stoppages. Yeah. And your central stoppage or your centre bounce stoppage is so critical in football because it's hard to, if you're on song defensively, you can hold that ball in your forward line.
What a story. Jack Hayes taken late by the Saints. Didn't pick up his phone call when his manager rang to say that he'd been drafted because he'd just about given up. In the centre of the ground, there's a bit of a scramble. The Pies get it, but and it's Pendlebury. Handballed it over the top to centre half forward. Now some pressure applied by the Saints. Ross goes in, loses it. Somehow they work their way to Steele. Steele with a kick and diving mark by Noble. He had Butler for company in a one-on-one duel, but Noble's strong, low, takes the mark. To Nick Dacos, short to Pendlebury. Pendlebury out wide to side bottom. The two veterans and the premiership stars combined. Nick Dacos kept running, accepted the handball. Long handball to McCreery over the top. Brings it back to Degoe. Tries to stab it to Myercheck. And McCreery's getting involved again. And now Elliott loses it. That is holding the ball. Well done by Howard it was. And the Saints can run it out of half-back.
Jack Hayes has got it again as he skids to his knees, takes the mark from the pattern kick.
Well, he knows at 26, you really do know what to expect as far as playing against men go. It's just the intensity, of course.
He's kicked 2 on debut as a ruck forward as he goes long down the wing. Falls to Burns in the number 13 this year. Hand pass out wide to Butler. Back inboard to Gresham. Dribbles a kick to half forward. Burns has got it again. Missed Wood by hand. He bangs bodies with Henry competing for it. And then tackles a man without it. That was Madgen. And Mason Wood gives away the free. So Madgen to take it at centre half back. And he goes wide to Jack Crisp, who's coming up for his first possession in the quarter. The reigning best and fairest winner at Collingwood. And goes back to Madgen. It is a 14-point lead for Collingwood. They led by 35 earlier in the quarter. Saints have not kicked back-to-back goals all night. They've now kicked the last 3 in the game.
And they've certainly slowed up that ball movement. Collingwood now just not sure and going really wide, and a chance here for the Saints.
Madgen to Moore 50 metres across field but misses Josh Dacos on the hop. Hand pass to Quaynor. Quaynor gives it to Crisp. Crisp kicks back into the corridor. Dangerous ball. Turns it over and Gresham takes the intercept mark for the Saints.
And he wants to go, the little man. There's no one there. I'm not sure who is kicking to. It's going to favour Butler in the end. Who gives it to Hayes? A concreter turns Saints. What a debut for Hayes. 6 goals in a prelim it was in the SANFL a couple of years ago. He loves the big stage.
It's a great story, isn't it?
And he's got 3, Mick. He's got 3. He joined in December. He got a call in early January to say, we'd like to sign you up. And he could not believe it. He thought that his chances were done and dusted.
Well, when you're at that age, you generally are going to be considered like for the COVID thing, more so than your listing. And if you keep performing at that level, South Australia and West Australia play pretty good football. He's good size for a start off. If he's a proven performer in kicking goals, he's an athlete. You can tell he's an athlete. Why not pick him?
Well, he's turned this game. His last 7 or 8 minutes has been outstanding. Yeah. Crucial contest.
Brett Ratton in the coach's box. The fist pump.
Good on him.
Feel-good story. They lower Hayes at St Kilda as Marshall wins the tap, but Collingwood come up with it. To Goey, hand pass to Goey in full flight. He kicks deep into the pocket. He wanted Mason Cox. Just out of reach and out of play. And a throw in forward pocket for the Magpies.
Marshall back in the ruck, isn't it?
Yep.
So, it's been a good opening round of footy for the first 2.5 games. And this game looked dusted halfway through this third quarter. Marshall wins it down, comes to Ross, hand pass to Marshall under pressure, knocks it out wide, wanted Crouch, skidding in Bianco, he's going to be pinged, holding the ball, and free kick for Crouch, back pocket for St Kilda. It's just 8 points the difference after Collingwood led by 35 earlier in the term.
Well, they kicked the first 3 in this term, didn't they, Corbin? And then the Saints have hit back with the next 3, and they have breathed life into this contest as they work it around the defensive 50 and now around the city side. Mason Wood marks uncontested.
Is he playing wing, Wood, you think?
Yes, he is. He was training in the wing position at training during the week, and it's a new position they're looking at him.
The side bottom certainly has had the better of that wing position until now.
Now Wood gets involved again, and then that long left boot. Now it misses the pack. Oh, it's socket through from King. Was it just mid-air almost, about 10 centimetres off the ground? King just threw out that very large right orange boot at it. And it was close. 1-3 Kings kicked, and it's Collingwood by just 7 points. A few minutes ago, it was a 35-point lead to the Pies.
Amazing turnaround in the game as Madgen sends it down the line. It takes a few hands on the way through and ends up out of play, so a throw-in on the city wing.
Somehow Collingwood now have got to wrestle back around the stoppages.
That's where it's been won and lost by both sides in those scoring.
Saints with all the momentum. Grundy wins the tap. Here's Steele, puts his head over it, can't take clean possession, and there's Steele side bottom coming through, and he runs out of space. He's out of play. And a throw in again on that City wing. 29 minutes into the third, Collingwood by 7 points. And 7 goals in the quarter.
No spare players on either side. It's 6 and 6 and 6. So, well, the half-foot flanker might be coming from both, but that's about it, though.
Grundy wins it down, but Sinclair from the stoppage kicks to half-forward. Clever from Owens. Taps it down to Gresham. He's run down holding the ball. And a free kick to come back to side bottom. Collingwood to get it on the back flank.
I'm sure he hand passed that too.
Ball wasn't returned properly, 50 metres. Side bottom will be marched up to the wing.
So this is this new delaying tactics, AFL.
Yep.
They want to make it quick. So any sign of delay, those long loopy handballs back to the player that wins the free kick buys a few seconds for the defence to get back and set. Side bottom now in the middle of the ground. Short to the centre circle, he goes to Noble, and wide to Howe, who's got no one near him. He spears the pass, and was that Hayes getting his hand involved? It was a smother on. He just put those long levers out, and now he wins a free for a push in the back. And there are grown men in St Kilda colours who are out of their seats and pumping their fists for the new man in town, Hayes.
And they're saying, Lenny who?
Yes, they are indeed. Oh, you can't say that, Lenny. We love Lenny. You had plenty of battles with Lenny over the years.
He's my favourite.
Okay, Lenny. And so Hayes gave it to...
He's struggling too, Hayes. Let me tell you, he's absolutely got nothing left. And he's walked away from the contest here.
Yeah. And he's taken another mark.
He was, because he can't, his lungs are exploded. Honestly, he thinks his legs are lead.
So it was a Darcy Moore kick from half back, and he's kicked to half forward where Hayes was exhausted. He's reached up and taken a contested mark. And now he kicks. Marshall wasn't paid the mark. Dinky little kick to King. Oh, what about the tackle from Moore? Goes unrewarded. Loose ball. There's big ball to be won here. Sinclair gets it over to Crouch. Out to Higgins. There's no one near Higgins. He goes long and strong and over the top. No one able to take the mark.
Had Jade Gresham running past who would have walked that ball into the goal.
Kick to a 2-on-1. It was 2 pies and the one was
panicked.
Butler.
I'll tell you, he just absolutely panicked.
He didn't want to go for home, Mick, did he?
Well, he didn't. He had, as Lingy said, at this level, you settle and you hand pass to your teammate in a better spot.
Grundy palms it down, back pocket for the Pies, side bottom over the top of it. He's tackled, lets them go at the bootlaces of Higgins, ushers it out to Crouch, hands it back to Sinclair for 2 in the quarter, floats one goal and he's offline. And Sinclair missing out to the right. He kicked 3 goals last season. He's got 1-1 in the turn. It's just a 6-point game. 32 played in the third quarter. Collingwood, who led it earlier in the turn by 35, lead by just 1 kick.
With 1 minute to play before three-quarter time. Moore brings it in from the kick-in. Has a bounce, goes close to the boundary line. Looks for Grundy, who was the target. It's spoiled over out of Grundy's hands. There are some tired players out there, Mick, at the moment. One of them's Marshall, the other's Grundy.
Yeah, well, Marshall's tired, but he can't afford to be because Hayes is on the bench and he'll be on the iron lung at the moment, so he'll be on that for a couple of minutes until he recovers.
Renew hostilities again, this time Grundy down to Taylor. Adams kicks. Oh, Mason Cox nearly marked it. Stolen by Wilkie. He's going to put it out to Membry on the end of a long lead. He's got it on the City wing. He tells them to run right. He kicks to the right forward pocket. Who's there? It's the 2 little men. Gresham's one of them. Running onto it is Higgins. And he makes amends.
I think he missed it, Kel.
He's missed it.
The crowd all think it's a goal.
Well, I looked at the crowd in front of me and they all went up, Lingy. You were looking at the goals, which is probably where I should have been looking.
Hello, there's a 50.
And a 50 as well.
And a 50. So it's all happening out there at the moment. It's 5-point lead to the Pies, 39 seconds before three-quarter time, Corby.
Nick Dacos takes the kick, puts it on the chest of Elliott, who drops it. Spills to Adams. Free kick. Sinclair was taken high.
And Jordan De Goey was appearing in the goal square by himself.
Yeah.
Sinclair free, centre half back. St Kilda have kicked 4-6 in the quarter. They come out wide to Steele and then to Ross, Hand pass to Marshall. Kicks to half forward. Higgins fumbles. He got it on the bounce and fumbled it over the line. So a boundary throw in, 70 out from the Saints goal.
Well, he's having a bit of a stinker. He's kicked 4 behinds and he's dropped a sitter.
Well, I tell you what I'd like to do. Make it the 5th. Kick his behind. Look, he's given up. You cannot do what he has done regularly today.
For the boundary throw in, Lipinski. High ball across the body to half forward, and Elliott skids through, takes the mark. Jamie Elliott between wing and half forward, rushed kick, makes up 35 metres, and that's about it.
First game fatigue right now.
Yeah, it certainly is.
That'll do us through 3 quarters, and what a turn in this game. Collingwood looked like they just about had it done. 35 points up midway through this third quarter before St Kilda have rattled off the last 4 in the game. After trailing by 35, it's Collingwood after trailing by 35, St Kilda trailed by just 5 at 3-quarter time. It's Collingwood 10-11-71, St Kilda 9-12-66. A 5-point lead for the Magpies. Jack Hayes, if you've never heard of him, he's on debut. He's an SSP selection over the summer. Had kicked 3 goals. 2 of them came in that quarter. The 26-year-old on debut. The rest of the goal kickers, 2 for Membry, 1 each for King, Kent, Wood and Sinclair. While for Collingwood, 2 for Myercheck, 2 for Sidebottom, 1 each for Lipinski, DeGoey, Elliott, Dacos. That's Josh, McCreary and Ginnivan. Tim Hodges is on the boundary. Hodgie, the Pies by 5 at 3-quarter time.
Corbin, Jack Hayes has kicked 3 goals. I think Lingy will like a stupid stat like this. He came off the ground. I think he still loves the fact that as an AFL footballer, you can drink as much sports drink as you like. I watched him. He smashed 3 bottles of sports drink before the 3-quarter time huddle. So he's probably got sports drink sort of all over the place in there. But he's out there and he just had to get off the ground because he was absolutely cooked. But, he holds the key in this last term, doesn't he?
You don't have to pay for it when you're in the AFL club. You've got to fork over the couple of dollars.
If this last quarter goes his way, he might be wearing it in about half an hour's time.
There's no doubt he'll wear it. Remarkably, it was 12 each inside 50s.
That quarter.
And yet, what we saw in that first 5 minutes, we think, well, how far the Pies, and then the Saints grabbed hold of it. Now, Jack Higgins, I know critical of the fumble over the boundary line. He spent it before he got it. The crumb was what Saints have been after. The crumb, which resulted in a point, but all of a sudden they look dangerous at the fall of the ball, and the Pies are following him in.
More from Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Ling coming up. Final quarter, moments away. Collingwood by 5 on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hand flick to Lipinski on the outside of the boot. It landed at the top of the goal square. Pouncing on it is Dacos. This is the older brother with the snap. And Josh Dacos converts another goal.
Free kick in the middle for the ruck infringement. Grundy runs away with it. Hand pass to DeGoey. DeGoey from 40. He's kicked it.
Adams to Lipinski. He was stripped of it. McCreary traps it. Elliott off to Sidebottom. On the left. They can smell blood in the water, the Pies.
The Sidebottom squeeze the kick out only as far as Sinclair. Collects on the run. Shoots from 45 metres out. Right to the goal line. It carries the hands of Moore. And to say St Kilda needed that is one hell of an understatement.
Membry. And this would be back-to-back goals for the Saints after the Pies got out by 35 points. And he gives them a little pep in their step, the Saints.
Saints with momentum late in the third. Tangle between Grundy and Hayes. Free kick, Hayes. Twice a premiership winner. He's 26 years of age on debut with the big, heavy number 47 on his back. He's got 2, and the Saints are back in the game.
There's no one there. I'm not sure who is kicking to. It's going to favour Butler in the end. Who gives it to Hayes? What a debut for Hayes.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Jack Hayes with 2 in the quarter. Collingwood by 5 points. They did lead it by 35, though, earlier in the third term. 0437 774 the SMS number. But Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling with their take through 3 quarters.
Jack Hayes, seriously, Mick, was the reason and a huge part of it that the way that game swung in that third quarter. Yes, he kicked the 2 goals. That was fantastic. But a couple of his efforts to go into the ruck when Collingwood were on top in the middle, they were dominating, pumping it inside forward 50 and scoring goals. Hayes goes in there and through his contest work, his effort and everything that he's gave, his energy, swung the momentum of that game. It poses a question how Mason Cox goes into the ruck against him. First gamer who, according to our sheet here, is 194 centimetres. It seems like he's a little taller than that, but we've got it at 194. Cox is 211. That's a big discrepancy, and Cox still can't have an influence and contest against Hayes. Hayes was brilliant, but all of that advantage and that urgency that Collingwood had from the middle of the ground, just gone. Like that. And now we're back to 0-0, and game starts from here. I know they've got the slight 5-point buffer, but the Saints have got to be feeling pretty good about themselves.
Well, but it's 5 points, 1 kick. You're spot on. Now, I'll go devil's advocate on either side. What the Saints can't do now is have that big, and we've seen too many fluctuations in the first 2 games. Almost suspect it may even happen again. Tiredness will set in. Mistakes will be made. It's going to be the side, one, that makes the least number of mistakes. I mean, that's without doubt. But 2 is, it gets back to that clearances again. And if Grundy gets back on top, you'd almost say that the Pies will do enough. But, it's just such a wonderful contest.
Here we go. It's the start of the 126 VFL AFL season. And this game's going to go right down to the wire. It's the Pies by 5 points, so we start the last term. Ball flicks out on the City wing. Grundy's there, so too side bottom. They can't keep it in play. It'll be over the boundary line for a throw-in. True centre wing. The last time St Kilda in front was the 7-minute mark of the first quarter. Pies got out to a 35-point lead 10 minutes into the third. And as we start this last pulsating final term, it's the Pies by 5. Corbin Middlemass.
From the boundary throw-in, Marshall wins it down. Sinclair tried to soccer it away. Didn't go very far. He mopped it up. Then he's tackled, lost it. Adams to DeGoey by hand. Collingwood across the centre square. Noble to Josh Dacos. He gives it to Madgen. Madgen kicks it inside 50. It carries the pack. McCreary chasing after it. He overruns it. His battle. Hand pass to Patton. He's under pressure. Hand pass back to Sinclair, who's made good ground. Knocks it away to Wilkie. Hand pass to Webster, who kicks along the boundary line and the safety of the line. He finds it. And the umpire says that's all okay. We'll have a boundary throw-in. Right half forward here for the Pies, coming home to the Lockett end. 1 minute into the final term.
Silence falls across the closed roof here at Docklands. It's just about a full house. Fans are back at the footy, and the vibe is there as well as the Saints through Crouch. Move it to the centre of the ground. Marshall, Hayes it is rather, takes the mark and then gives it off to the run of Crouch. Crouch is delivered straight to Darcy Moore. That was poor delivery.
Oh, he's a shocking kick. Under pressure.
More out wide to the broadcast wing. Little fumble from Ollie Henry, and it allows the Saints to come back in play. Hill gives it off to Wood, to King at the top of the goal square, and it's Higgins who gives it off to Gresham. A little handball from Higgins. He could have gone for home, but Gresham put it through right on the goal line. And it was a fumble out on the broadcast wing from Ollie Henry in the end. And it's St Kilda in front for the first time since the 7-minute mark of the opening term. They lead it by 1. 10-12-72. Collingwood 10-11-71. No one saw this coming.
No, not at all. Not when, about 8 or 10 minutes into that third quarter, it was all Collingwood. Ollie Henry, we both like him, Mick. He's having one of those nights tonight where you have them as an 11th gamer.
Young player,
Just overrunning the footy, almost now to the point where he's trying too hard and he's fumbling, second-guessing himself. And, it was a crucial fumble and the Saints just pounced all over it. And they are feeling brilliant about themselves, all of the momentum.
But they had numbers in their forward line too, so Collingwood got found out position-wise as well.
Saints with the last 5 goals in the game. First lead change, as Kel said, since the 7-minute mark. Out of the centre go Collingwood. McCreary comes up with it, centre half forward. Hand pass to Adams. Gives it to Lipinski. Kicks to the goal square. What a mark. In from the side. And Myercheck pulls down a mark at the top of the goal square for Collingwood.
Clearance again.
Clearance and a brilliant, strong contested mark. When the momentum is going against you, that's where you just love a big key forward to stand up, take a grab like that and go back and bang it home.
He's right in front. Brodie Myercheck gives Collingwood the lead straight back. A third for Myercheck. Collingwood 11-11-77. St Kilda 10-12-72. Pies by 5. 4 minutes into the final quarter. Second lead change of the term.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable. I know we've said all night, the momentum comes from the stoppage. It's almost like this is where I think the AFL have really taken away coaching, because if you want to shore up your back line, then you've got to have your 6th player or your 7th player. Okay, that rule's taken that away. So you've got to be, one, competitive. You might win the ruck work, but you've got to make sure when that ball hits the deck, you've got the players that can both be head in the snout, but also, or head in the trough, but also step out and cover any of those little quick hand passes that come out.
Really smart decision makers on the outside. Yep.
Bounce again in the centre. Grundy down to DeGoey and then got it back to Grundy, but his handball was smothered by Gresham. And Gresham gathers. He has a bounce. He takes off. He's got energy. He's looking for King, who got his hands to it. Couldn't gobble the mark. And now Crouch with a tackle, bringing the Pies player Brown to the ground.
Gee, they missed Gresham last year, the Saints.
He just gives them so much. He's buzzing around the contest, isn't he? Grundy straight down to how it was, a quick hurried kick, but the Saints there. Wilkie to Hill, who's going backwards, zigzagging. Good pressure applied by McCreary. He wins his own ball. That was wonderful. He beat 3 players to it. Quick hands. DeGoey's getting involved. Now Chris with the delivery, looking for Ginnivan and getting him. The double grab up. 40 metres out directly in front. He's got loose players running by to his left and his right. But the small man with the headband and the long hair says, nope, I'm going to back myself in from here.
No, really good advice by Myercheck. Actually settled him down. I think Ginnivan wanted to go and thought, I better go. It's just good advice by Myercheck. Ran up to him and said, take your time. Go back, set shot, give everyone a breather. It's been a fast-paced game. Go back and kick the goal.
So the 19-year-old from Castlemaine in his second year of footy. A big moment directly in front, and he gets his second. And he celebrates with a big clenched fist to the crowd. This is a game of momentum shifts. Collingwood now by 11 points. 12-11-83. St Kilda 10-12-72 after 6 minutes in this pulsating final term.
Well, again, players who have got experience, if you break and you've got the football and you get caught by the jumper, you are expected to put that ball into someone's hands, not behind them. And that was Bradley Hill, got the ball, gave it up, hand pass behind his teammate, a turnover, ball in the goal square, goal. So you go to the source. The source is, it's easy to say, oh, he kicked the goal, who was on him. No, it's where it came from. Where it come from.
Pies back up by 11 after the Ginnivan goal as Grundy wins the tap to go. He taps it back to Grundy. He clears the centre square, kicks to half forward. Ball comes out away from Wilkie. Collingwood win it back. Here's Lipinski, hand pass to Henry. Henry sells the dummy. Henry with the finish. Ollie Henry. What brilliance through traffic. Collingwood Collingwood with 3 in a row after falling behind earlier in the term. The Pies 13-11-89. St Kilda 10-12-72. It's Collingwood again by 17, 7.5 played in the final term.
Oh, that's a good sign, Mick.
Yeah.
For a young player to be having a dirty night and really struggling to still, in the last quarter, have that sort of awareness, ability, skill, everything to kick that goal. That is brilliant. It shows a fair bit of character.
Well, he broke 2 tackles too. They're the things that hurt you most, is the ability to break the tackle, but on the converse side is to let a player walk through you. As you said, I think this is his 11th game.
Collingwood by 17 points.
Big risk here. It's Cox in the ruck.
And he's in against Marshall. Marshall reads it better and then he fumbles. Crisp. Somehow it's flicked out to Adams. Takes off, has a bounce. He's pushed as he gets his kick away. McCreary, great tap. Oh, and he's absolutely shanked the kick. It's rolled about 10 metres. And a stoppage.
Head clash in the middle of the ground. I reckon that's Taylor Adams and Mason Wood.
So after he got that, squeezed that kick away, it must have happened. I kept watching the Sherrin, which went inside 50. We'll get down to Tim Hodges in a moment.
I reckon they're going to stop this in a sec.
So there's a ball up inside 50. Sinclair just gets a toe poke. Centre half forward it is here for the Pies. Sinclair is everywhere. He goes again, and now the umpire's blown his whistle and says, let's have a break in play, which means we can go down to Tim Hodges. Hodgie, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it was just a crunching bump where Adams was going 110 miles an hour. He look at that. He's just waved both doctors away.
See,
at one stage it looked like he was out cold there, guys.
Yeah,
I can't see how they can allow him to stay there.
The doctor's got to take over there, bring him from the ground, just to be checked.
If the umpire's stopping the game in that scenario too, surely it's on them to make sure he makes his way off the ground. From the restart, Mitch Owens has it on the wing, tumbles a kick forward, but Darcy Moore at the drop takes the mark. Moore goes short to DeGoey. DeGoey doesn't mark, but mops up, kicks wide to Brown, and it hangs in the air as Steele kills it over the boundary. So a throw-in half forward for St Kilda.
So the NRL's introduced an independent doctor this year, but he sits in the bunker, which is a long way away. But they've got the independent doctor because it's basically taking the decision out of the club doctor's hands, Corby.
Collingwood by 17 from the boundary throw-in. Lipinski, his hand pass picked off. It's taken by Sinclair. Hand pass to Gresham. Kicks into the pocket. Flying effort from King. Spoiled at the back by Howe and out of play. Forward pocket for the Saints. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Yeah, Corbin, Taylor Adams knew he wasn't right out there and he's come to the bench now. He's just walking around the boundary trying to get some air in his lungs. I think he was crunched in the ribs as well. So he is a very, very sore and sorry boy out on the boundary now.
Pies by 17 points inside 50 here for St Kilda. Lipinski tackled by Wood. It was a good one as well. Hurried kick out of the defensive 50. Membry should get there first in the foot race with Bianco. He picks it up. He does the don't argue. It works. Can he find a target inside 50? Higgins flew, nudged in the air, and it's all Pies. Howe, DeGoey, Lipinski kicking to a one-on-one. Ginnivan it is and Webster. Charging through and helping out was Burns. Back to Webster. Grubbers at the way of Owens. And now to Sinclair, who's usually perfect by foot. And on this occasion, he finds Membry all by himself inside 50. And Membry's going to go back and line up for his third goal of the night. He'll kick it from inside 50 on a 45-degree angle to the southern end. And a chance to get it back to an 11-point ball game.
That's where you rely on your teammates so much as forwards there. There were 3 St Kilda players by themselves who pretty much hadn't done the work to chase out.
Yep.
But up the field, your teammate creates a turnover and you're back into the game.
So second in the goal kicking last year, Membry. Can he slot it through as the pressure rises? He can't. He pushes it right across the face. And they've had some poor set shot misses tonight, St Kilda. Collingwood by 16 points. And there is 13 and a half minutes to play.
How more on the kick out. Kicks it straight into oncoming traffic. That was Kent who laid the smother, and then he's run down, collecting the footy in the forward pocket. And taken by Nick Dacos, who's all over it yet again. He goes long with the kick out of defensive 50, but Mason Wood takes a towering intercept mark, 60 out at half forward. Wood kicks it inside the pocket. They come from all directions. House foils. It doesn't go out. Higgins keeps it alive. Kicks it to Ken, who drops a chest mark. One he should have taken. Collingwood with numbers out of defence. Howe to Crisp. Hand pass to McCreary. Takes on the would-be tackler.
Handball.
Gives it to Crisp under pressure. Crisp is caught middle of the ground. Saints win it back. Webster hand pass out to Burns. Burns gives it to Hill. He goes back to Webster, who knocks it away. McKenzie on the wing. McKenzie caught, holding the ball. Bianco. And Trent Bianco, the chase down tackle, wins possession for Collingwood on the wing.
Open side of the ground, side bottom was on. No, it took too long to get it there.
Gee, a goal here from the Pies would make life tough for the Saints. Bianco fake to go back inside, gets onto his left, can't find a target inside 50. It spills out the back of the pack where Patton was waiting. He kicks wide. Can they keep it in play? Burns does. Short is good to Gresham, marks uncontested in front of the Saints bench. Now, what's he got ahead of him as the Pies flood back and try to defend? They're blocking space. They're manning up. Gresham looking for King. Has to beat more in the air and he can't. Darcy flies from the back and just swats that one down. And it means it'll be a boundary throw-in. Just about 10 metres down from the Pies bench. So half forward here for St Kilda. 12 minutes to play. The Saints down by 16 points, but they're not giving in. Marshall down to ground where Dacos pounces. He tumbles. He gets his hands clear to Chris, who tries to get around Sinclair. He does. Then he bounces, regathers. Elliott. No, too many handballs. Over-possessing. Good pressure by the Saints. And a tackle by Patton. Great to see him back, the St Kilda defender. Missed all of last year with a broken leg. Means instead of the Pies charging down the wing, it's a boundary throw-in right in front of the interchange gates.
Collingwood led by 35 midway through the third. The Saints kicked the next 5 goals to hit the front. And now Collingwood have kicked the last 3 to lead it by 16. Halfway through the final quarter from the boundary throw-in. McKenzie on the wing to Ross. Hand pass to Wilkie. Kicks it to Hill. It's not 15. Goes back to Wilkie under pressure. Hand pass to McKenzie across the half-back line. Webster intercepts. Webster's tackled. Loose ball. Side bottom there along with Bianco. Loose footy. Hill grabs it. He's locked up. Taken to ground. Ump says play on. And now ball up. Centre half forward for Collingwood. Their pressure has been excellent all night. Collingwood by 16 points halfway through the final term.
Tossed up in the air. Ruck don't win it. At ground level there's a scramble. Marshall tackled. Can't get an effective kick away.
Dangerous tackle.
Yep. Free kick.
Big St Kilda's ball.
And it's going to Crouch. They're hot on the dangerous tackles this year.
Yeah.
Cracking down on any head-high contact.
It was there too, just a slinging motion, head hit the ground.
So Crouch to Owens to Hill, who handballs sideways, puts Battle under the pump a bit, but he's up to the task and he hits up Ryan Burns. Burns wheels around on his left to Higgins, marks uncontested. Couple of kicks out from goal. He's kicked 4 behinds tonight. He just wants to move it to the top of the goal square where Membry is. He swats it down. Butler can't get his boot to it. There's a scramble in the goal square. Membry picks it up. He turns around, he spins and he goals. Membry's got his third. And they've taken a lot of punches tonight, the Saints players, but they're still standing. And it's Collingwood still with the lead. St Kilda 11-13-79. Collingwood 13-11-89. There's 10 points in it.
It's an amazing crowd, isn't it? Well, it's a St Kilda home ground.
Yes.
And it was.
There's silence, isn't there?
Well, it wasn't the noise that you expect. So, but when you look around the crowd, it really is a lot of black and white, straight black and white. I know the Saints have got black and white, but they've got the red there, and you can see the red on that. In front of us, there's red. A little bit behind the goal.
Oh, do you feel that down there? It does feel like every time a Saints kick a goal, it's met by silence and the roar of the Pies fans, and yet it is a St Kilda home game.
Yeah, there's no doubt, especially when it became a fully ticketed game, Cal. I think it was just the Collingwood supporters and Collingwood members that got in earlier and got the most tickets. It is spectacular to have crowds back. As you heard Patrick Cripps say last night, just the the pep in their step they had from a crowd, and this is as good as I've seen the Docklands in 6 or 7 years. It is up to the back row right around the stadium. It's going to be an enormous crowd when they post it, probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Collingwood by 10. Grundy out of the middle, tumbles a kick forward to Elliott, who's then clipped high in the tackle. So Jamie Elliott will get the free, still inside the centre square. 17 and a half minutes into the final quarter. Collingwood by 10. And they're going forward here as Elliott just laces it straight out to Henry. Drops the mark, spills to Hill. Hand pass to Owens, takes on the tackler, turns it over. Adams, sweeping hand pass to the top of the goal square. Howard, clean pick up at fullback. Mops it up for the Saints. Gives it to Wilkie, to McKenzie, who kicks wide. And here's Burns at half-back. Burns is kicked straight into oncoming traffic. Crisp knocks it down. Shepherds it for Noble. Noble at half-forward, hand pass to Moore. Kicks Collingwood inside 50. And there he is. Jordan De Goey takes the mark in the corridor. 40 metres out, just left of centre.
Great work by Darcy Moore there.
Yeah, bad option by the young fella in the pocket here. Just skill level wasn't quite right. Follow-up wasn't desperate. Well, he probably was desperate. He just didn't have the quality to get the football back.
He's got one so far tonight. Jordan De Goey. Set shot. The bad boy makes good. He's got 2. And Collingwood lead it by 16. 19 minutes into the final term. Collingwood 14-11-95. St Kilda 11-13-79. Have we got another twist in this yet? 19 played in the final term.
Well, it was a really great decision at the start of the game by Craig McRae. They started to go in the middle, just get him into the action. He was able to play in real quality bursts through the middle of the ground. Even to start the third quarter, he was a big reason how they got those centre clearances and peppered the scoreboard. He's able to push forward. He's kicked those couple of goals. He's had the 27 disposals as well. It's been a really complete game by Jordan De Goey. High impact. He stayed really busy.
So the Saints need to kick 3 goals in 9 minutes, Mick. Possible?
Oh, it's possible, but not... Yeah, all these stoppages are so important. You've got to clear this for start off.
Okay, well, Grundy wins it in the air. Here's Pendlebury's tackle. By Hayes it was, and now the Saints a chance to clear it out of the centre through their skipper. In Steele, handballs to Gresham. Gresham goes high. Quaynor with the thump. Good spoil. Bounces out of the defensive 50. Taking off after it there was Dacos, but it's all St Kilda. Webster to Hill. Hill's kick was smothered by Elliott. And it's smothered by Elliott and over the boundary line right in front of the Pies bench. And the 4 Pies players are up on their feet applauding. And then the 2 tiers behind them are all up on their feet applauding as well. They're closing in on a big, significant win. A new era for the Pies. New president, new coach, and a new attitude. Boundary throw in from the interchange gates. Toe poked off the ground by Steele, and it dribbles over the boundary line.
You can't seriously pay that.
Well,
deliberate.
Well, they can't argue about this. I can. No way do you understand the game. It was a kick off the ground.
And then a kick off the ground while getting knocked to the ground, and the ball has turned at right angles.
Yep, turned on a 90-degree angle and rolled out as Mason Cox takes the contested mark because it was a free kick to the Pies.
So Cox to centre half forward. Outsides Bianco makes a contest. They're alive at ground level, but Elliott knocked off it. There's Hayes for the Saints. To Butler. To Hill by hand. Back to Butler. Running through the middle of Docklands. Hand pass to Gresham. Up over halfway. Hand pass meant for Sinclair. Quaynor in the other direction. Takes it and then takes him on. Kicks out to half forward. And Grundy takes the mark between wing and half forward. Look at him back in the corridor. The kick for Collingwood to the hot spot. Myercheck was the target. Spoil comes late. Pendlebury had it. Lost it in the tackle. Pack forms behind him. Ump eventually says holding the ball. And that was almost like a team holding the ball going against Collingwood. And a free kick to St Kilda off the back flank. The kick out to Hayes. Hayes hand pass to Hill. Falls down towards Patton. His hand pass back out to the wing. They've turned it over. Collingwood back with it. Gee, they're just knocking around with it. Hand pass wise at the moment. Pendlebury tumbles a kick into the middle of the ground, and Jack Steele's there for the Saints.
So can they make the most of this opportunity as Steele goes wide? Membry keeps it in play. Wheels around, goes long. King flies, he launches. Higgins at ground level, twisting and turning. And then a high ball will land at the top of the goal square. Gresham couldn't control it in the air. Chance for Burns if he can handball over to Gresham, and it's holding the ball.
Yeah, selfish play by the Saints.
Tried to burst through, didn't he, Mick?
Yeah, 2 or 3 players had better options, but elected to have shots on goal or hang on to the ball too long.
They're getting desperate now, St Kilda. Henry wins the free kick and Grundy flies. Leaper in the pack, Elliott. And then Adams all by hand to Crisp, to Dacos. Here's De Goey charging in. Oh, that was brave by the St Kilda player. That was Mackenzie who came in from the side. And De Goey's a little sore after that. He charged for the ball. Coming at a different angle was Mackenzie. And a ball up on the centre edge of the centre square. Hayes is tiring in the ruck. Side bottom. Applies the tackle and the ball's not coming out of there. It's holding the ball and it's a St Kilda player right on the bottom. It's number 5, Crouch. And it'll be number 5, Elliott, that wins the free. He spots something wide that he likes. And it's Bianco marking uncontested across half forward. It's just a step in from the boundary line. And they're going to slow down play here. Is it the right thing to do, Mick, with a 16-point lead, 6 minutes to play?
Well, I don't know whether they're slowing it down or just controlling and just get the bit of breath back.
Noble now pulls the trigger. He goes long. Mason Cox went down behind play. There's no whistle. It'll sit nicely here for Dacos off to Pendlebury. He's tackled, affects the kick. Oh, Dacos has gone in high on Hill. That was a little hip and shoulder that'll be looked at. In the meantime, Butler had it. Butler lost it. Picking it up is Dacos. Just throws it on the boot. It's a bouncing ball inside 50. Cox hits Patton with a huge tackle. St Kilda kicks it out of the danger zone, but at the drop is Quaynor, who's been impressive tonight.
Yeah,
he
very
reads it well, doesn't he?
He does. He uses the ball very well too.
Yep.
Pies by 16, 25 played in the last. Quaynor kicks to Mason Cox. He crashes the pack, spills down to Henry. Henry flying shot at goal right to the behind line, and Mackenzie helps it through for a rush behind. So Collingwood by 17. Desperation belongs to the Saints deep in the final term.
They're going to go straight down the corridor here. So it's Hill to Sinclair. Sinclair then gives it off to his teammate King, who gives it to Higgins. Higgins goes to Gresham, who's all alone at the top of the goal square. Does he play on? No. He'll hold it, but he'll go back and put this set shot through, which will make it an 11-point ball game with 4 minutes to play. He plays on. He's got his second. And this is game on. And once again, a St Kilda goal is met with eerie silence.
Are they going home?
I'm not sure where they are.
Well, there's the cheer squad behind the other goals.
Up the other end.
Up the other end. So it is. It's
You're right.
That's very strange.
Very weird.
Yeah. Well, they should be used to it because they've played 2 years without crowds now. So.
Collingwood by 11 points. So 14-12-96. St Kilda 12-13-85. And there's 4 minutes and 13 seconds left in this contest.
And we've seen quick bursts of goals.
Yeah.
And both teams really fatigued. You can see the mistakes they're making in the second half, just fumbles, little missed handballs and kicks. That's first game fatigue because they're not absolute cherry-ripe match fit yet. That'll come after the first few rounds. So the Saints, if they could just burst out of this centre bounce, all of a sudden Collingwood would get very, very nervous.
Nick Dacos has had 27, an equal game high on debut. In the middle, Grundy on his knees, hand pass out to Lipinski, gives it to Noble. It's Collingwood going forward out of the centre. Kicks to centre half forward. Howard flies, slips out the back to Cox. Hand pass to Myercheck. Kicks Collingwood to the top of the goal square. Mackenzie's back, under pressure for the Saints. Hand pass to Wilkie. He gives it to Hill. Back pocket, trying to work his way out of the maze, and he just chips short. Finds Patton, who takes the mark and then hits up Gresham. Chance for the Saints on the counter-attack. Gresham long kick to the wing. Here's the prospect in Rowan Marshall, who marks on the wing right on halfway. Kicks to centre half forward. Butler's got it. Puts it inside 50. Oh, there he is. Hayes flying.
Oh,
no
free
mark.
kick, wasn't it?
No free kick. Falls to Wood. Hand pass back to the hot spot.
No, it's coming back. It was a free.
But
it's going to Collingwood.
You know what? I reckon it's for abuse. I reckon
wow.
because the free kick wasn't paid.
Right.
Well, it should have been paid.
And Mason Wood's going to stand the mark. He got rid of the footy. Hayes, a tremendous attack on the ball. No free kick. And now Collingwood will get it. Almost last line of defence through Jack Madgen. Pies by 11, 27 played in the last.
Kicks to the wing. Rising high was Grundy. Got a bit of leap in those ageing legs. Couldn't close out the mark. Adams scrambles, gets a kick away. Couldn't quite find De Goey though. And it's Howard that marks in front of De Goey. He's got it at half back. Centering kick, picked off by Lipinski. That hurts the Saints fans.
Yeah, now just going to control the footy mode.
That's all you need now.
Collingwood by 11, 2.5 to play.
Burn a minute off the clock here.
Dacos is involved, all by kicks. Myercheck back to Dacos. This is Josh Dacos. He's probably looking for his brother just to get a couple of late touches. Josh instead goes inside 50. Mason with the sit.
As they get tighter, Lingy, he doesn't get shorter. And I think that's what's happened.
Well, he's seeing it like a watermelon at the moment with those sunglasses on, Mason Cox.
I don't think he's good for the distance. You lay this off. There's two Collingwood players all by themselves. It's quite remarkable. I don't know what... now the Saints have just woken up that he's not going to be able to kick the ball 50 metres or 55 metres.
He struggled for confidence last year, lost his spot in the team. McRae says, I'm going to back him in. He goes to the top of the goal square. They fly from every direction, and then Patton handballs it down. Hurried kick by Steele. King launches, can't mark, picked up by Pendlebury. And this is the move that'll seal the game for the Pies, because Pendlebury hits up Ollie Henry, uncontested mark on his chest, 40 metres out, directly in front. And if he can put it through Lingy, it's game over.
It certainly is, Cal. They've managed to hold on here at the end. I'm still intrigued by if that Hayes free kick had been paid before.
It should have been paid. I mean, that was a dreadful decision by the umpires.
Would have been a kick the difference if he nails that one. But now
So-
Ollie Henry to completely seal it for the Pies.
So the Collingwood chance gone up. Henry for his second, directly in front. They've held their nerve with a fast finishing St Kilda breathing down their neck. But they're going to win their season opener, the Pies. 17-point lead. 15-12, 102. St Kilda 12-13, 85. And they've had to do it the hard way. They were challenged, particularly late in that third term. By 9 at quarter time, by 15 at half time, by 5 at three-quarter time. They lead it by 17 points. And this is what we've missed the last 2 years.
Well, they'll certainly be very happy with a few of the positives around the Pies. Lipinski's been outstanding for his first game for the Pies. Jordan De Goey's been terrific. Dacos, not they need to be any more excited about him, but he has been brilliant. Terrific win.
Quick break out of the middle again for the Pies as the kick comes out the side bottom on the wing. Hand pass back to Noble. Pokes the pass to Lipinski, who takes the mark. And Paddy Lipinski is coming up to possession number 30.
Kick to goal. He's had the 4 tackles.
And the number 1 for Collingwood. He goes short to Noble. And Noble can send Collingwood inside forward 50 again. Cox down there along with De Goey. Cox got hands to it, can't mark. Drops to his knees. Shoots a look away, hand pass to Battle. He's got it for the Saints and kicks to centre half back. Hayes takes the mark.
Hayes has been a real story and a real find for the Saints. Sinclair over the top of Higgins. That sums up his night. He couldn't take the mark. He's had a tough night, Higgins. A tough start to this season. Out to Hill. Hill shanks that kick and makes it really tough for King, who's got it at centre-half forward. Handballs to Gresham. Gresham over to Crouch. Crouch with a little dinky handball. Missed Higgins. It's at the top of the goal square. But the Pies repel. Quaynor. A new president, a new coach, a new era and a new never say die attitude. They got that winning feeling back, the Pies.
They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should.
So Collingwood led it by as much as 35 points late in that third quarter before St Kilda hit back with 5 goals in a row. They hit the front, and then Collingwood holding on to finish 17-point winners. 15-12, 102 to St Kilda 12-13-85. A crowd of 40,129 for the Pies. My check with 3, 2 to Giddevan, 2 to Sidebottom, and 2 to De Gully.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
The Craig McRae era starts with a win at Collingwood, a 17-point victory over St Kilda. So much of it about the Saints tonight. It was their home game to start the new season. Brett Ratton entering the final year of his contract, his third full year in charge. The president coming out saying that the premiership window is open from 2022. Well, at the moment, it's still a brick wall. And Collingwood, with expectations low coming into the new season, Kelly Underwood spoke about the new attitude of the Pies. And we saw that on display as they come here, kick 100 points. They looked a little more appealing in attack than what we saw from them in 2021. And they do a job on the Saints. 15-12, 102. St Kilda 12-13, 85. 2 lead changes in the final quarter. Collingwood winning by 17 in front of 40,129, the official attendance. What was a rocking night under the roof at Docklands, the first Friday night of the season. So Michael Voss, the first up, went in charge of the Blues. The defending premiers winning on opening night. And now 3 games in, the Pies with an upset victory over St Kilda. I say upset, Cameron Ling. You tipped Collingwood at the start of the night. It is a massive headache for Brett Ratton first up. They cough up 4 points against a side most felt they would have been able to beat.
Yeah, and they showed glimpses of Saints, but just at times they were just too easy to play against, and Collingwood were able to exploit that. And well done to the Pies. I thought, Mick, we spoke about how important centre clearances are. What I love from Craig McRae is he put his best centre clearance players in so often. De Goey, even if you're happy to drift him forward, didn't need him running down, getting possessions deep in defensive 50 or that. He's not one of those two-way runners who's going to run goal square to goal square, that type of runner. He's going to be one who does his best work in the centre clearances and then gets the forward half of the ground. They won the centre clearances 18-9, Collingwood. Yeah. And what that led to was they were able to take 12 marks inside forward 50. St Kilda only had the 9 marks inside forward 50. So those great clearances, really fast ball movement, and they took their chances when they did go in there. And a well-deserving win. It was a really good, complete performance against a team who did come at them at times, but they were able to hold them off with some quality footy.
Oh, I totally agree with you. It's quite amazing how the games have been played. The first 3 games we've seen have had their ebbs and flows have been quite extraordinary. Just when you think someone is well, even last night when I thought Richmond the first quarter, I thought, I don't know how the Blues are going to recover from this. 8 goals later, they'd recovered. Here, when the Saints got in front, again, there was no guarantees whatsoever, because it was the momentum that swung. But like everything else in any game, it doesn't matter if it was the first game or the last game of the year, the stoppage work is absolutely vital to get yourself in a position to score. You don't always score, but you're in a position to score. And what were they linking? 18-9, was it the clearances?
Centre clearances, yes.
I would love to know exactly what scores come from that, because it just appeared to me the Pies were far better equipped on the end of the clearance than what the Saints were. And the Saints, let's face it, you're looking at King and Membry, who are both key forwards, missed pretty important shots at the time. Mind you, Mychek missed, I think he hit the post on one of his kicks, so maybe it was even there, but you expect more from those players kicking for goal. So you capitalise on your clearances, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brodie Grundy, first half, Rowan Marshall beat him.
Yep.
Fair to say. He came back really strongly in that second half and got them going in the middle of the ground, which helped them with that. Gee, the recruit I know it's one game. I'm not going to go getting carried away, but Pat Lipinski.
He's got speed.
Oh, he's got speed, but he wins it in a contest as well.
Yeah.
Delivery. Ended up with the 30 disposals.
That'd be his most ever, wouldn't it?
I reckon so, and kicked a goal as well. It was strange, dominated the VFL, absolutely dominated, would come in, go okay at the Dogs, and then seemed to be back out.
Didn't find his
a couple of
position
weeks.
really at the Dogs, really.
Yeah, and you watch him play like he did tonight, and you wonder how he didn't grab that extra spot in that Dogs midfield, which admittedly is a very good midfield. But
mind you, I think the Dogs wanted him to stay, but if you're not getting games and someone throws out some better coloured lawn,
they definitely wanted him to stay.
Yeah, but if you can't see a future,
well, how do you break into that midfield? The Dogs midfield. I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
We've got the Collingwood chant back as the players make their way off the ground. There's the warm round of applause as the Pies walk down the race. Craig McRae out there, plenty of hugs with the support staff and the players. Jeff Brown, who we spoke to pre-game, the new president of Collingwood. And this new era for Collingwood starting with a victory. They get home in the finish by 17 points. A game which they led by 35, then fell behind in the final quarter, steadied to kick 5 of the last 7 goals in the game and ultimately win it. Tim Hodges is in the rooms. Hodgie, talk us through it.
We said at half-time, Corbin, what a united bunch this team looked like, and they have come in. They are one excited bunch. They are going to belt this song out. Just watching what they do with Nick Dacos and Pat Lipinski to put them in the middle, I imagine, for their first song. Straight afterwards, we're hoping to speak to Taylor Adams. But a very excited Collingwood team, and here we go with the Magpie song. Well, guys, I was just talking to Steve Riley, the media manager of the Magpies, and said good luck keeping the hype down on Nick Dacos. Everyone's going to want to talk to him over the next few days. That was some sort of debut, and hopefully we'll have Taylor Adams for you very soon.
He finished with 27 touches, Nick Dacos, and the number 35 also laid 4 tackles. Hell of a showing, Pat Lipinski with 30. And Jordan De Goey, by the way, 27 touches, 9 contested, 5 clearances and 2 goals, 3, including kicking a clutch goal in that final term to ice the game for the Magpies. It's the first time since round 2 last season that Collingwood kicked 100 points. They finished with 15-12-102, St Kilda 12-13-85. I read in the paper this morning, Taylor Adams promising a more attacking brand from Collingwood. Last year, they were third last in scoring. They were the number 1 short kick and uncontested possession team in the competition. They went inside 50, fewer than any other team, and they were ranked 17th in the competition for clearances. Well, boy, we had ticks in a big turnaround in every one of those categories.
It's funny when you want to attack more and you've got an intent to go forward faster, scores go up a little bit. It's strange, that correlation. And Taylor Adams was one who started it often. Would get the ball in the middle of the ground. Even if there's a free kick, there were people calling for it sideways. No, just played on, went and got it in there deep, and some good leading forwards. Elliott's dangerous on the lead.
Yeah.
Some really good options up there, and lo and behold, we get them scoring over 100 points.
We'll come back and get Mick's take on that in just a moment. But back into the Collingwood rooms and Tim Hodges.
Taylor Adams has been good enough to join us, Corbin. Thank you, Taylor, for your time. Can I just get a penny for your thoughts to play in front of that sort of house, that sort of football, to get the song and play with your mates after smashing yourselves for a pre-season? You must be just thrilled.
Yeah, it's sort of a little bit of a surreal feeling. It's been a long time since we've played, obviously, in front of our fans, and we've seen full stadiums in Melbourne. So, to get the opportunity to do that tonight on a Friday night, big stage against a team that are obviously going to be pushing for the 8. obviously put a lot of work in, and to see it come to fruition when we're, when the pressure's on us in that third quarter and that last quarter to be able to steady and kick a few really, really clutch goals was awesome.
Can I ask you about the epic moment you were just reliving with the boys before? You were going 100 miles an hour to kick that ball, and Mason Wood was coming at you 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You knew you were going to cop it.
Yeah,
you're holding the ribs, you're holding the head.
Yeah, I played a lot of junior footy with Mace, and I said to him after the game, I said he could have looked after me there, but he said you took one too many steps, and I actually just got winded. At one point I was like, give me the stretcher, and then I come good, so it's not a great feeling, but certainly worth it.
We thought at the time you were knocked out, that you sort of put the arms up as if you were out cold, and then
I was asking the good Lord to give me some air. I just couldn't get anything in, so once I obviously got to my feet, I tried to run around for a little bit, and I just couldn't get enough air, so I went off, and I just couldn't cope out there. So no, it was
And the ribs okay?
Ribs are fine. No, I'll be fine.
It's awesome to have Taylor Adams after such a good win. I'll send you upstairs, Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
Taylor, congratulations on the win. First up, a terrific game. Just that midfield that had a slightly different look about it. Obviously, Scotty Pendlebury spending a bit more time off half-back and Steele out on the wing. But what about Paddy Lipinski? What a terrific debut for the club.
Yeah.
He just seemed to fit in beautifully in that midfield group.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit surprising for you guys, given he was probably started opportunity at the Dogs. But, we've seen it firsthand at training. A real elite runner, really clean, obviously, as you saw tonight. Great ball user, both sides of his body. Just adds a different dynamic in there for us. And I thought tonight his toughness and his hardness around the contest was something that we probably haven't seen a lot of. It's not like it's been a weakness of his, but tonight I thought he really drove it for us. So, pretty solid game from Paddy. I know he's pretty pumped up after that one.
Corbin just quoted you from earlier on in the pre-season about wanting to attack more and looking for opportunities to score more and obviously move the ball quicker. Clearly he did that tonight. The fatigue factor obviously increases when you're playing at a higher tempo and you're really trying to get the ball in there fast. How's the feeling with, after now this first game, the team's equipped to play at that sort of speed and intensity going forward?
Yeah, to be honest, we actually spoke about it three-quarter time, going a little bit faster than we were. We sort of went a little bit stagnant, kicking the ball sideways, maybe getting ourselves into some of those old habits. They do die hard. In the last quarter, we're able to give our forwards access to the footy. It certainly does take it out of you a little bit more, but I guess the thing you can do is set up your defence behind territory and defend your front half and hopefully lock the ball in there, which gives our defence a bit of a rest. So centre bounce becomes really crucial in that aspect, so I thought we did a really good job of that tonight.
Taylor, congratulations. It was really another great game, third great game that we've had so far. And just at half-time, we remarked in here, we thought that Marshall was right on top of Grundy. He was playing a lone hand, really, for the Saints to keep them in the game. And I know you guys get together in your divisions. Was anything said about the change up there? Because he completely changed that around in the third quarter. And stoppage work, you guys got so much on top compared to last year. So clearly, are you doing a lot more work there? Yeah. And what were the tactics to change, or in particular with Grundy, going into the third quarter?
Yeah, there was actually nothing mentioned as a group. I know, and you might know Broads Mick, he holds himself to a pretty high standard, so no doubt there was some inner reflection going on at half-time, if that was the case. I certainly didn't pick up on it during the game. Right. But yeah, our centre bounce has been a real focus of ours over the summer, and we've had Brendan Bolton coaches in that aspect, and I thought Broads particularly in that second half and late in that last quarter was able to really get his hands on it and give us first access. And as I said before, it allows us to defend behind our territory, and it allows our defence to set up. So it's crucial. We saw a grand final last year, won basically off the back of centre bounce. We saw another pretty awesome display the last two nights, Wednesday and Thursday. So centre bounce is going to be absolutely key for us.
Yep, sure.
Taylor, Kelly Underwood upstairs. You lost 6 of your first 7 last year. You got the Crows next week at home, then the Cats and the West Coast Eagles all here in Melbourne. You got a bit of pep in your step after that one. How are you feeling about the next 3 weeks ahead?
Yeah, I honestly haven't thought too far ahead. It's sort of been a bit of a whirlwind week. Obviously, having Paddy and Dakes, little Nicky Dacos debuting's been pretty awesome. So we've probably put all our energy into this week. We'll take the weekend. We've got the weekend off, so we'll take the weekend to rejuvenate, refresh, and obviously watch what the Crows dish up over the weekend and prepare for them next Saturday. I think it's afternoon. So.
Yep.
Yeah, excited. Kelly, I'm just thrilled to have footy back in Melbourne. I'm a bit of a footy nut, so I feel sorry for my missus. I'm probably going to watch another 5 games over the weekend.
I don't think you're the only one. Hey, can I ask you about the crowd? It was a St Kilda home game, and yet it felt like every time St Kilda kicked a goal, it was very silent and very different story when you guys were kicking goals. Did you notice that? It was overwhelming. Well, Collingwood.
I didn't notice the silence, but I noticed our crowd. We've got the best fans in the business. Last year was a really tough year for the whole footy club. There was a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. We saw Bucks walk out the door, and a guy that had given so much to the football club. So it was an emotional year for us and for our supporters. We're doing all this work and trying to play the way that we want to play for them. We know how much it means to our football club. We've delved into the history of the Collingwood Football Club from the Vic Park days. We appreciate their support so much, and that Collingwood chant just doesn't get old. So to all the Collingwood fans out there, thank you, and keep turning up. Craig's really big on displaying a really exciting and positive brand of footy. So hopefully we'll be able to display that more often than not.
I wanted to ask you about that, Taylor. Craig McRae. What does he bring? What can you tell us about him for people that are learning more about him here?
Well, yeah, he's got this real dry sense of humour. He was even cracking gags before the final address today in our meeting. He's a guy that he's driving, trying to drive a really strong culture of playing for the jumper. Doing what you say you will. Holding yourself to your word and holding yourself to account to your teammates. And I've absolutely loved the breath of fresh air that he's brought. There was absolutely nothing wrong with what we're doing previously, but. The team that he's put together and the way that he's coaching, he's just been fantastic. So, obviously tonight's really, really special for him, and hopefully there's a few more to come.
We just have to wind it up down here, guys. I don't want to get Craig McRae angry on night one.
Yeah, I'm getting the wrap up here.
Don't do that.
Can I just ask one more, Taylor? The new LED lights. Did you notice how much brighter they were than the past?
No, you won't see me running out with a pair of shades on like Cox here, but it's the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Get fly angry.
No worries. Thank you very much. See ya.
Just a quick one, Mick. Did you work with Craig McRae?
Yep.
And?
Oh, a big rap for him. Big rap for him. He was one of my development coaches. He's just got... His disposition is calmness. You can tell... When I look back over the 3 premierships that they won... and we were victims of 2 of them, by the way. So you tend to look back over things well after it, and losses always sting and they stay with me. So I looked back through stats, and I was amazed that he hardly touched the footy. But everyone talks well of him and talks highly of him. So I can only say that I still remember Black and Voss and Brown and so forth, but. The little bits and pieces I remember, he was always just there. So whether he was blocking or whether it's the voice or whatever the case may be, and he was a fair footballer, don't get me wrong. But from what I can gather, and I've spoken to a few Collingwood people, he really has he's got them playing the way he wants to play, which is when you look at the intensity of the previous coach compared to him, he is a little bit of a back away, but you know what he wants. And I know that when I had him as that person in that role, you knew that he was following what you wanted for your players to be, what type of players you want to come through. So it doesn't surprise me, and in particular when he went into an assistant role, because they all talk highly of him.
So his first, he played for Glenelg in the SANFL, and Mark Williams was his first coach.
Right.
And then he's worked under you, and you might take a bit of the credit for him being a lovely, lovely man. He's worked under Alistair Clarkson. Lee Matthews was his coach, obviously.
Yeah.
When he was in Adelaide, he's an Adelaide boy. He studied to become a teacher, and he did a student teaching gig. And the person responsible for overseeing him as a student teacher was my mother.
There you go.
So
that's where it all comes from.
You might take the credit.
I don't take any credit.
I'm taking it, okay?
I think your mum would say that he's my boy. Is that
She
fair?
did say when he was appointed, she said, it looks very familiar. I remember a young man of that name who was very, very nice coming along and learning how to be a primary school teacher.
I hope you can get a few photographs of those years. It'd be interesting.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Absolutely.
Not sure whether cameras were invented then, Mick, but anyway.
Very quickly, Mick, is he the right guy at the right time? After Buckley, and obviously you were coaching before that, it's sort of this next era for Collingwood, for everything that's happened over the past few years, to have someone that's kind of understated in that way?
I think there are certain players out there. One is Grundy, DeGoey. Those two in particular need to be loved and applauded for their results, not pushed into the way away from what they are. And
Mason Cox as well.
They are responding. Those two in particular, because they'll be part of the team. Whether Cox can stay in that they are part of the team. That so DeGoey's not Martin, and I'm talking about Dusty Martin, but he'll play a similar role, similar size, similar expectations. As Lingy said, cameos in the middle, drift forward. Who takes him because he's big and strong? If he can develop that role and be loved, because he wants to be loved on the ground, there's no question. And Grundy's such a different sort of cat that he needs reinforcement all the time without being pressured to be the great player. He will be the player as best he can under his circumstances, and that's why I reckon McRae's ideal for him.
So you obviously know the personality types way more than we do, but that's more of what Craig will bring them, what they had previously.
Absolutely will. Absolutely. That's him to a T. You can sit there and he's just a nice bloke, but I reckon there's a steely undercarriage there will say, this is how we're going to play. I was intrigued tonight. Instead of defending when you had the football, the first form was, if it is there, I'll go for it straight away. If it's not, okay, then I'll defend. Or when I say that, control the ball. But they got the ball inside the front 50. I can't even remember how many times, 50 plus, scored 100 points, as you said. Always looked like they were going to score that way. And that's his game, because that's the way he feels games should be played.
We're fast running out of time. We've got the votes to come in the ABC Footballer of the Year. But Lingy, you flagged this very early tonight. You weren't buying what St Kilda was selling. You didn't tip them. They were favourites. They've come up short tonight. They've tried to Frankenstein a team together. They've got all these recycled players from other teams and gone heavy in the trade period in recent years, thinking that they're set up to win now.
But not many of them can play.
And they're 0-1.
The recycled ones. I'm not gonna go into a big game thinking I feel really, really confident and great about a lot of those recycled players. I think Dougal Howard's a solid defender, so no worries.
Because there's not many of those around.
Do you include Jack Steele as recycled, or the fact he came so early? Because
I'm thinking more the years that they got
a star,
when they
Jack
got
Steele.
Howard, Butler, Hill. They went and got about 5 of them in the one-off season.
Butler, Hill,
Crouch,
and also Higgins.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going into a big game thinking, I know what I'm going to get from them, and it's going to be high level under the most high intensity quality footy. I got Jade Gresham, brilliant. Jack Steele, brilliant. Max King will be brilliant. Rowan Marshall, brilliant. I'm starting to run out of names now.
So there's a bloke that didn't play, Clark. So
yeah.
So but he again that only gives you 5 or 6, as you said, Lingy.
I'm not buying much of the Saints at all.
The guys missing tonight: Caulfield, Jones, Hanbury, Clark, Billings, Ryder, and Geary. So they're the only 7 on the injury list. I know every team's got injuries.
Hanbury's been on the injured list for 5 years.
He's one of the guys they brought in.
Ryder's got Achilles soreness.
Yep.
Jones is a solid player.
Yeah.
I guess the worry is with St Kilda is they've set their own marker that they believe they're in the window. And they've got a coach that's off contract, and they're happy to leave him sitting there, and now they're 0-1, having lost to Collingwood.
I feel like they're raising unfair expectations on the coach, because I think Brett Ratton is terrific as a coach, and I think he's the man to lead them forward. If it's premiership or bust for Ratton. Well, that is completely unfair because they're a million miles from a premiership.
I would be looking directly at the people who bring those players in, and that's not the coach. Hanbury was a disaster from the start and will be a disaster. Crouch is a crab. He goes sideways. So you cannot have players in this competition who go sideways and can't kick the ball more than 40 metres and don't defend. Hill can have as many as he likes.
Yeah, we know.
Keep feeding him the ball. Feed him the ball, because tonight there was 3 or 4 turnovers, direct turnovers from his inability to get rid of the football correctly, which resulted in goals. So, Lingy's, again, we don't want to keep looking as though we agree with each other, but you know what? They're bad mistakes.
And then next month, Mick, Fremantle in Perth, Richmond back here, and the Hawks at the MCG.
Well, they could win 2 of those.
Well, they should win 3 of those.
The votes in the ABC...
But they're not going to.
The votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year, Collingwood by 17 tonight. They in front of 40,000. They led by 35, Collingwood. St Kilda came all the way back to hit the front start of the last quarter. Collingwood steadied to kick 5 of the last 7.
So I should say, if they think they're in a premiership window, they should win all 3 of those, but they're not going to. 1 vote goes to Jade Gresham. I thought he was St Kilda's best player. 24 touches, 6 clearances, 2 goals. He's at least the one who looked dynamic. Marshall was on track to be their best player, but I thought it flipped around after half-time, so I gave Gresham the 1 vote. Jordan Ngoe, I thought he was excellent. I thought he set the tone really early on with big clearances, 5 clearances, had 27 disposals and kicked the 2 goals. Did kick 2 goals, 3. And I gave the best on ground, Corbs, to the man playing his first game for the Pies, Pat Lipinski. 30 touches, 5 clearances, 1 goal. But of those 30 touches too, they were dynamic. He took the ball forward. He took the game on. He had some speed on the outside. He was good on the inside. It was an outstanding game from Lipinski. So, well done to him. Good move.
We're 1 down under the Friday Night Lights. It's been great fun being part of the crew. Look forward to working with you throughout the year, everyone.
Fantastic, mate.
Mick Moldhouse, Cameron Ling, Kelly Underwood, Stu Baker, our tech, Craig Davis, along with Adam back in the studio, and Tim Hodges. Of course, I'm Corbin Middlemass signing off on behalf of our team on Grandstand AFL. Collingwood winners by 17 points tonight. The lead tomorrow from 12 noon in Melbourne. From 10 a.m. for those of you over in the West, it'll be Sports Talk. And, of course, in South Australia, SA Grandstand. Following that, it's Essendon and Geelong as the coverage on Grandstand AFL rolls on. And round 1 continues tonight and was the Pies by 17.